like, has the term American pig dog ever been said before, or has Hasan ever said like the term?
No,
like,
I
American
fucking
pig dog?
didn't, and you're not listening.
Say the
No,
term
you're not.
American pig dog. And I said yes.
Listening.
He's
So
not referring to.
if he said
Hasan
American,
Piker is not
shut the fuck
referring
up.
to.
Shut the
like,
fuck up.
Turks.
I'm losing it. So also has uses in non-anti-Semitic context. That is.
What racial slur doesn't? What racial slur doesn't? That's part of the whole thing of racial slurs.
I'm happy to hear your case for
Every single person.
If you want to do that now.
I'm the only bad faith one. All those people are good faith, but I'm bad. What the fuck?
Freaking DoorDash is yelling right here.
The North Pisco Josiah debate. What did they debate about? Streamed 1 day ago.
Hello? Testing 1, 2, 3. Josiah, you there? Just chill, North. Let me get. Please, God.
Right.
Hey, how about now? Test 1, 2, 3.
Sorry, no. That was my wife beeped in. Sorry.
All right, no worries. Can you join one of the
I'm on my
voice channels in my Discord?
Just
real quick.
Sure.
Yeah,
No,
just
wait.
real quick.
I'm just saying. Wait a minute. Jesus
Okay.
Christ. Wait a second. Let me find it here. For the love of God.
North, go to the one of voice
All
channels.
right, I'm going to disagreements.
All right, cool. North, go to the a voice channel. I'll drag you in.
Wanna be all by myself.
It's right now I'm off of just live streaming, plus my internet's been
Yeah.
dead for a
Dude,
while.
the fucking internet. The internet. Finally, a kindred spirit. I'm stranded here. I'm awash in, 18th century living at the moment.
My apartment switched my ISP to I forget what this new ISP is, but it fucked over my my Ethernet connection to my computer, and I was only streaming at 200 bits. So I got an AT&T router that went through data, and that is now apparently it's overloaded on the tower. So
Now that's what I call a cool story, bro. Holy shit!
It'll occasionally go down to like 300 every like 1 to 5 minutes.
That
it is
sucks.
terrible. Yeah, very terrible viewing experience. So
I also have AT&T, and this morning I was not able to get on the internet. My wife was trying to do some work, and so the entire neighborhood contacted AT&T. And at first they're like, it's going to be 72 hours, and then we just bitch. And so they're like, okay, we'll get somebody out here. We'll have it done by 8, and then it was 6. And now I check my smart home app or whatever. It's like 11 o'clock. I'm like, fuck. So I hear you, man. The AT&T blues. That felt good. I felt good bonding over that. Sorry, I had to get that off my chest because it's been.
yeah, they told me that it'll take 8
day.
months for them to repair the tower to upgrade it.
8 months
for the whole because it works. It just is not smooth. It's just overcapacity on the tower. So,
God,
what are you gonna do?
You guys
Dude,
want
that sucks.
like printers and shit?
Look, man, you don't understand. You're living in a first-rate city right now, in a first-rate nation. The rest of us are slumming it in Trump's America, trying to make it by on just fucking cell phone data. Sorry that inconveniences you.
Yeah,
but
because I definitely
obviously
have
it's
internet issues for like a little bit. All right, North, what's up with you? What are you thinking? What's on your mind? What's going
I
on?
wrote down a couple questions, a couple topics I want to go over, both for you and like Josiah. So let's get into it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
This is first mainly for Pisco. It's the anti-Semitism thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Just for my own clarification, because I didn't watch the conduit thing like all the way. What do you define as anti-Semitism?
One thing now that I guess we're all separated. One thing that I never understood, and I don't know if this, I'm trying to ascribe intentionality to strategy or whatever, but I don't understand how this weird obsession these guys always had with if I would have a point or a thing that I would talk about, for some reason they would always have to go and debate like every other person around me about the thing. Is there like a strategy here, or is there like a thing that other people, I never understood this. Could somebody explain this to me? So like I might give a take where it's like Destiny says that we need to have a 5th NASA. And then like the Live and Learn guys will talk about on their show, like, well, there's been some talk about like a 5th NASA. And then they'll be like taking call-ins to debate this idea in the space about it, but no one will like ever say my name or anything. It's just like such a weird boogeyman feel. But I don't know what the point is. Like, why not just like not talk about the thing at all? Or if you're not interested, or maybe they are interested, but they want to avoid the conversation with me, I guess. I don't know.
I take anti-Semitism as indexed to individuals to be essentially prejudice or mental bias against someone on account of their Judaism, and or a person who commits some non-trivial amount of discriminatory individuals to be essentially.
Just for my own clarification, because I didn't watch the conduit thing like all the way. What do you define as anti-Semitism?
I take anti-Semitism as indexed to individuals to be essentially prejudice or mental bias against someone on account of their Judaism, and or a person who commits some non-trivial amount of discriminatory acts on the basis of Judaism. So one of two kind of visions.
Okay, do you think that someone can express anti-Semitic discrimination without having, I guess, the hatred of Jews in mind?
I need to know more about what you mean by that. Do you mean, first of all, do you think are you asking if it's possible?
Is it logically
Yes.
possible?
And you said to state anti-discriminatory views
No. To like commit anti-Semitic acts
without having the bias.
without necessarily having the internal bias
Yes.
of like, oh, I'm doing this explicitly because I hate Jews. Okay.
Yes, that is possible.
Okay. Do you think that Hasan Piker is like anti-Semitic?
I'm not convinced of that.
You're not.
I mean, this is going to be another painful white people's takes on social issues argument. If that's not enough, then I mean, I just truly don't understand how Pisco could ever ascertain anybody is bigoted unless they literally come out and say, I am bigoted. I hate this group of people. It sounds like I can't imagine any other standard he holds, I guess.
Not convinced of that. Okay. Do you think that like Hasan Piker is, I guess, discriminatory against the vast majority of like the Jewish population?
What are you asking? On the basis of Judaism or on some other ground?
Like the Jewish population, as in like he would discriminate against like 90% of the Jewish population.
On the basis of what? Discrimination with respect
On
to
the
what?
basis of the support of Israel.
Yeah, so I don't take that to be discrimination of Jews, do you?
I would.
Why?
I just got to know. I already know the answer, but he didn't support Alito's decision, did he? I'm curious what he thinks is the difference between the Voting Rights Act decision and his take now, because I feel like it maps on 1-to-1. Destiny Josiah basically says that he said that Al Sayed would have to have Hasan express anti-Semitic views on stage with him to disavow. That's a lie. I think that a lot of these guys are either further left or they want to like move or grift further to the left because that's where the audience is, but they don't want to lose their lib audience. The super simple test for that, and you don't even need to ask them because I know I'm correct on this, is to say, oh, okay, if somebody wanted to campaign with Nick Fuentes, would it be okay as long as Nick Fuentes doesn't express any racist or whatever views while on stage with the person? But like nobody here in that space would ever agree to that. They would immediately, revile against that or whatever. So it's just a stupid. It's a fictional standard because you have to hold on to the Hasan clout and then the whatever this like weird left lib space is where you just have to constantly try to cater to whatever these commies are all day basically.
Jews, do you?
I would.
Why?
Well, do you think that like him discriminating against
But no, can you answer that? Wait, so answer that.
North is not picking up the escape. The little escape that Pisco has crafted for himself here is on the basis of. So like, you have to basically, and on the basis of is you have to come out and say it, right? You have to come out and say I am discriminating against this person because they are Jewish on account of their Judaism or whatever. So like, if I were to start crafting rules for a restaurant that I own, and I'm like, nobody that listens to rap, nobody who is poor, nobody who has any immediate family members that have ever been in prison, and somehow my restaurant ends up as like 99% white people, and Pisco's... Actually, I don't even know why I have to give all those examples. He already said that if you put up a sign saying no blacks allowed, it wouldn't necessarily be racist, because maybe you just think the white people have more money. So this is a very goofy ad hoc definition of bigotry so that we don't ever have to think much about it.
Answer that question. Why do you think the discrimination
against Jews? Because you're specifically singling out like one particular ethnic group and saying that like the nation state that encompasses that ethnic group has like no right to exist when you would never apply that like standard to anyone else. It's discriminatory because like the selection bias is.
So if I say that Israel as a state should.
The lefties are so fucking active on Twitter. I commented on a couple of the people signal boosting Tom Tiffany on the Crowley shit, and I get the most responses I've ever gotten on anything. They're very active on all the social media. For I don't know what they is, like actual people or bots. It's hard to say, but yeah, there's a lot of activity relating to them.
Could not exist. Is that an anti-Semitic view? Yes or no?
Arguably, yes, I would say so.
So you would okay. So then you would say that, in other words, criticizing Israel is anti-Semitic.
I think, for the most part, it is, and especially the way that Hasan.
No, that's not true though. That's not true.
Uses his justification for his I guess you would call it like his hatred of the nation state of Israel. I would consider that anti-Semitic.
So when an internal Israeli Jew criticizes Israel, they're being anti-Semitic on your own view.
I'm sorry, did I say criticize Israel?
Well,
that's what Pisco
or
said.
is it just the views that express that the desire that Israel not be a country? Is that the only view which is anti-Semitic in this theory?
Like the reason why it's anti-Semitic is because Hasan specifically considers Israel to not have the right to exist when he would not apply that like standard to like any other country. Nor have I seen him. Like he's specifically singling out the Jewish state in order to say that state
on the basis of
exist.
Judaism.
On the basis of
virtue of it being the Jewish state.
On the basis,
I would argue so. Yes, I would argue that he's anti-Semitic. And
I don't think North understands what
how would you
Pisco's
establish
saying
that it's
here.
because of Judaism that he's discriminated against Israel?
Oh, how would you establish that?
Because there are other nation states that would fulfill the same criticisms that he has of Israel, and he did not apply those same criticisms to those other states, and thus we have to
indicates a bias, right?
That he has a bias towards that.
So you agree with my? So you think that my definitions of anti-Semitism are fine? You're just trying to show proof of it, right?
Well, hold on. If he's showing bias against the nation state of Israel,
what is anti-Semitism? If you're not gonna bite that bullet, I'm asking you what anti-Semitism is.
If you were applying,
if you're not gonna answer the question easily, stop doing this. You're gonna pause. I'm gonna write down, and you're gonna tell me what is anti-Semitism because you didn't accept mine. So go ahead, tell us what anti-Semitism is.
Well, I don't know if I ever except I was sort of delving further into your definition of anti-Semitism. I never agreed or specifically disagreed with it.
You don't have a view whether he's anti-Semitic, do you? Because you don't know what anti-Semitism is.
I do have a view that he's anti-Semitic.
So what is anti-Semitic?
I would argue that
what is anti-Semitic?
I would argue anti-Semitism is...
The funny thing is that somebody in chat pointed out, the funny thing is, but I already know that Pisco would try to find a way to ad hoc weasel out of this too, is you could say, so you're telling me that people that are highly critical of Israel having a right to exist, that these people are not anti-Semitic. And it's like, yes. Okay, why? Well, because it's not on the basis of their Judaism. Okay. Doesn't Zionism mean a Jewish ethno-state? And it's like, well, yes. It's like, okay, so if somebody is hateful of an ideology, and the basis of that hate is calling their state an ethno-state, how are we not connecting these two things at all? It's like, you have to create so many layers of, and then also, and even if you think that sounds a little bit tortured, if you're like, well, I don't know, maybe, I mean, protecting the existence of an ethno-state doesn't necessarily make you bigoted. We wouldn't want a white ethno-state or something. If you were to apply this lens to any Muslim majority state, to any, Arabic peoples, these people would be screaming Islamophobia. Because remember, for a lot of these guys, and I'm curious if actually he's changed his mind since then, when Trump came into office, Trump wanted to ban, in 2017 when he came into office, Trump wanted to ban every Muslim from coming into this country. A lot of people, rightfully, called it bigoted, xenophobic, racist, whatever. Trump, at the end of the day, wasn't able to do that because it would have been illegal. But he managed to find 7 states that he could ban that were all Muslim majority. And then he switched to one of them at the end, I think. I wonder if Pisco would say, well, no, that actually wasn't bigoted in any way because it wasn't every Muslim that was banned and it wasn't every, I'm just curious what he would... how we would navigate that at the end of the day.
A series of either discriminatory actions or sorry, not a series. I ignore it. It is a discriminatory action or speech against Jews.
Action or speech against Jews because they're Jews?
It doesn't have to. It can include that, but doesn't necessarily have
not
to
necessarily.
That.
Okay, so then we'll ask that. So if you say Netanyahu's bad, is that speech against Jews?
Sorry, I'll speak at my DoorDash order. Repeat the question.
So Netanyahu's a Jewish person, right? If you say Netanyahu should be out of power, is that speech against Jews?
No, but if the standards that he's applying for removing Netanyahu out of power is only selectively applied to a specifically like the Jewish head of state, then I would consider that like anti-Semitic. In the same way that his criticisms of the state of Israel are being selectively applied
Stop with this
million.
Israel,
and thus it is like
we're focusing. Okay, you're trying to get as narrow as possible to avoid the gaping flaw in your conceptual analysis. That's why you're trying to get as specific as possible.
How do you think this combo so far compares to his combo with the Vanguard? I haven't listened to that one yet. I haven't heard that one yet.
And it's tiring. It's pathetic. So I'm not going to get confused by it. Let's go back to what you offered.
Jeez.
You said a discriminatory action or speech against Jews, and it's not necessarily on the basis of their Judaism, right? That's what you
it can
said.
include that, but
it can, but not necessarily, right? So if I say Benjamin Netanyahu is the worst prime minister in Israeli history, he stinks, he's got to go, he should be indicted, and it's a shame that the Israeli people ever elected such a person. Why does that not fulfill the criteria?
Well, because if the standards that you are applying are, I guess you would call consistent with how you would apply it to the rest of the world, then it would not be
consistency. Consistency is not part of this definition. Where is consistency?
Well, yes, it is, because like if we're calling it like bias, right? Like
that's what I say.
Like
you didn't say
a white
bias.
supremacist who's discriminatory. Would we not argue that like a bias is a part of like discrimination?
So I think that bias is not necessarily. I actually think bias is probably a form of mental discrimination. Yeah, I would agree with that. But it's not necessarily so. And so I'm asking, why is it the case that
I thought he doesn't want to talk about this topic? Usually when they say, if Josiah Pisco say there's a thing they don't want to talk about, what they really mean is say, we'll talk about it endlessly. They just don't want to talk about it with me. For some reason, is generally how it went, but that's all good.
a speech against Netanyahu, who is Jewish, would not be covered? Unless discriminatory is indexed to on the basis of a given trait, and that trait being them being Jewish, then I would agree that that's not. But then you rejected that.
That's why you can. That's why no. Hold on. I rejected that because you're applying the context in like a vacuum. Like let's say that
I'm not going to get distracted.
You have like
Don't try it.
Not
Don't try
gonna
it.
get
Discrimination with respect to what?
Getting,
Discrimination with respect to what? What's the trait?
With respect to the trait is them being Jewish, and the reason why we are analyzing it
because they're Jewish, right?
Of other things.
Because
by making this a Semitic game, you basically get to logic away everything. It's not bigotry. Progressives are supposed to be able to read between the lines. Well, again, and I've said this a million times, and I welcome anybody to seriously consider this, is it fundamentally misunderstands what bigotry is, right? Because it's like saying, you know, well, what if you could read, I think somebody in chat asked earlier, what if you could genuinely read the mind of a person and you could genuinely find out that person wasn't racist when they said no blacks allowed in their store? They really weren't. They just thought that all black people were poor or whatever. Well, that all bigotry kind of works that way, right? Like I said, it's pretty exceptional that you just have a person whose heart is tainted with evil and they just hate for absolutely no reason some racial group that they, for all intents and purposes, think are basically the exact same as their own. Usually people have some sort of like perceptible difference or they're perceiving some difference in how the races are, their race versus another race. Generally speaking, that's how bigotry works. Like, I don't know what you want to say. Like,
There's an analysis to determine whether is this based off of like hatred
I'm not
going to
get distracted.
Israel based off of like stuff, or is it based off of just specifically because they're Jewish?
So just a pause real quick. Your notion of discrimination is exclusive to it being discrimination on the basis of their Judaism, correct? Exclusively.
The factor of the Jewishness is affecting the outward opinion in a biased manner. That is what makes it anti-Semitic.
I mean, that's crazy what you just said, but like, let's just deal with it. Is it or is it not?
Wait, hold on. Explain why it's crazy.
Yeah, because you're saying it somehow affects, it's based on the outcome of it. That's crazy, but we can get to the effects test stuff. I mean, this is all,
we're calling
this
about
is crazy,
the outcome. What I mean is like so the reason why we're calling this like the anti-Jewish bias is because if you were to have if you had a Jewish politician and a non-Jewish politician and you were applied the same standard,
you're not,
for some reason,
this is a failure on your part. Why we raise something? So I just want to be clear. Why we're raising something isn't at issue. Why is not the issue here. The question is what anti-Semitism is, not why it is, right? You get me? We're talking about what it is, okay? And you said that it was a discriminatory action or speech against Jews. And I asked whether discrimination in that context was indexed specifically to being discrimination with respect to their Judaism and exclusively their Judaism. And I'm asking you whether that's the case.
It is not exclusive to it.
So what is a form of discrimination that isn't related to Jewishness that it would be encompassed here? Give an example. For example, pro-Israel, discrimination against Israel, would that be included here?
Can be, yeah.
So
Like,
I'll give you the
like,
examples.
a person can, okay, hold on. Do you think that someone can have like not have like Jews in mind, but still be discriminatory towards like the whole Jewish population? That's like the contention that we're having here.
I'm not going to
Example that
I'm not
would
gonna get
probably be
distracted.
like, oh my gosh, I hate all Israelis, and all.
I'm not going to get distracted, right?
Do you do debates like this and I'm just blind to it because it's you, or is he doing debate necrophilia? No, this is just the most absurd approach. Like it's like he's trying to fixate on like a hyper narrow definition of bigotry that is basically exclusive to him and whoever needs to defend these were anti-Semitic arguments. And he is applying absolutely zero charitability to the other side. So he can just like endlessly needle the other side with pedantry or hardcore fixation on a particular word. Like he's not trying to help him build his definition or come to some mutual understanding at all. It's just, this is in its purest, most distilled form. Debate pervertry.
So we can get into what we would constitute as evidence against people who are discriminating against Jews on the basis of their Judaism. But we're asking what this discrimination concept is including. Does it include or does it not include anti-Israel bias?
It can.
It
And I would
can,
argue
meaning
it does
it
with
would
Hasan
include,
Piker.
right? Oh,
Actually, we do. Yeah, true. We do debates like this. Only when me and Moot are trolling Dan, though.
just for Hasan Piker?
No, not just for Hasan Piker. Don't put words in my mouth, Pisco. When I mean that it can, as in like there are probably some good faith criticisms you can have of like the Israeli state that are made, without the bias of like Judaism in mind. But I would argue that when it comes to Hasan Piker,
You're not
the
getting it,
argumentations that he gives,
North.
when
Stop
the
trying to apply it.
argumentation
Stop
that
trying to
he-
apply it. Stop trying to apply it. So
Hold
North,
on.
North, we cannot apply something.
You keep
we
dodging
can't
this
apply.
one point.
I
keep repeating it over
I
and over
will
again,
not
and you
allow you.
refuse to
I
engage with
will
it.
not allow. I will not allow you to attempt to apply a term like anti-Semitism before we understand what the fuck you're talking about. I will not
Oh my
allow
God.
it. I
Do
will
you
not allow
think
it.
that, like,
I also think, sorry, I'm being a bit meaner now since apparently I've been all personal and evil anything. I also think it's very bitch made for Josiah, who like at the slightest push of anything has to start like rage posting and talking about how he has to disconnect from the internet for weeks at a time because he can't handle literally any kind of pushback at all, which is why he posts only the safest content ever. To be sitting in here in this chat be like, I'm dying, withering away, like kind of like shitting on North. Like, do you like the drama conversation stuff like this or not? Because if you don't, then I don't know why you're here watching this here. It's very bitch made behavior, I think, but whatever.
To determine a bias that
We
is
need to know
being
what
applied
bias it is.
and
So
by
I
picking the
will
same
not let you do that.
standards and applying it to either a
I
Jewish or
will
non-Jewish
not let you do it until. So,
and then
so
okay.
what kind of discrimination does your definition account for? Is it anything more than anti-Jewish bias or discrimination?
I hate to interrupt, but is there a way? Because I know this is going to go on forever, and this has nothing to do with me, and I frankly don't care. Is there a way that we can put a pin in this? Because I don't want you guys to stop having this conversation, and you can ask whatever it is you had for me or me and Pisco that was joint, and then I'll leave, and then you guys can continue to litigate this.
Yeah, we can do that.
Sorry, I apologize. I just I'm trying to hang in there, but like I know you guys are very
sort of like leads into like my other questions.
Sure.
I guess where do you think that Hasan Piker is in the coalition, Josiah?
I'm not entirely sure I consider him part of the coalition. I'm not exactly like married to that idea. I mean, he's certainly more part of the coalition than he's been in previous election cycles because he's trying to get Democrats elected.
He's trying to get Democrats elected or DSA members elected in the primaries. So again, I'm not sure because I don't know how mindfucked people get. Maybe Josiah forgot, but in the primaries, you're always trying to get Democrats elected. That's what a primary is, right? You're always like trying to get some Democrat elected. That's the definition of what a primary is. It's Democrats against Democrats. I don't know what that phrase meant, but okay.
At least in the primary race, and now he's publicly stating he's going to get behind David Crowley in Wisconsin and Abdul El-Sayed in Michigan or whatever. So to the extent that Hasan Piker's ever been part of the coalition, I think he's more part of the coalition now than he's ever been. But like if you were to ask me about somebody like Mike from PA, I would say he's not part of my coalition because like he's not a guy who just gets behind Democrats when they win elections, and that's basically my general dividing line.
Since it seems like you generally feel that Hasan Piker is not part of the coalition, although you acknowledge that like he's getting more and more in support of the Democratic Party. Do you think that it is worth like making content against him or like I guess condemning politicians who like who work with him, or what is your like position on that?
No, because if I were to condemn politicians who work with him, I'd have to condemn one of the politicians that I endorsed in the primary, which is Abdul El-Sayed.
So just ask a question about with Fuentes. Ask the Fuentes question, and then ask what the difference is, and then let them squirm around it. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just such a brain dead argument.
And he's won the general, or excuse me, he's
What
won
about in a post? What about in a primary setting, like Abdul Al-Sayed versus Haley Stevens? Did you endorse?
Yes,
Did you
I endorsed
Abdul Al-Sayed in the primary?
Yes.
Okay, so like, why would you endorse Abdul in the primary? When there is an alternative candidate available, like we aren't running against a Republican yet, and he has not only just like not condemned Hasan Piker, but he is like actively campaigned with and supported Hasan Piker.
Because Abdul Al-Sayed is somebody that I favor on certain policies more than Haley Stevens, like particularly court reform. I'm not convinced. Number one, I don't think she endorsed Supreme Court expansion the way that Abdul Al-Sayed did, number one. And number two, I'm not convinced, given her more moderate instincts, that she would use her position as the senator from Michigan to like make a case for it. Like the sense I have of Abdul Al-Sayed is that he would be much more aggressive in leveraging the power that he has as a member of the United States Senate to push for the changes that I think are.
Now Destiny sounds like a 2024 Jill Steiner who bitched about Kamala not being democratically chosen. This might be the most retarded set of words I've ever read in my entire life from Kick Chat. Good job, Royal Rab.
Necessary first step to preventing kind of a dark age of Republican rule and potentially one-party rule at the federal level, depending on how the census goes.
And also, just to clarify, sorry, you go and then
No, go ahead.
Oh no, just to clarify, do you consider Hasan Piker to be like a terrorist supporter?
I think he expressed support for the Houthis in Yemen. That's what I've heard, but I've not seen the clips.
Express support for. I love the babying. I love the babying. Why even have an opinion on this? You don't have to, right? You could just say, I don't know anything about Hasan, and just be honest about it. Man. Team sports is one hell of a drug.
So based on what I've heard from people in the space, yes, he has expressed at least sympathy, if not outright support for terrorist groups.
Sympathy. He's sympathetic. That, okay.
Let's say you accept the premise that Hasan Piker supported Hamas, supported Hezbollah, supported the Houthis, supported terrorist attacks in like the UK against jets that were being sent to Ukraine. Assuming you accept all of this as fact, do you think that might outweigh the and letting that be like a part of like a tolerated part of the Democratic Party? Do you think that like might outweigh the Abdul Al-Sayed support for reform?
No.
What would be your standard for like
nothing?
Or is
there's probably
then he has to bite the bullet on Fuentes campaigning with Al-Sayed would be fine. He'd still support Al-Sayed. He has to. He has to bite it. Or he is less spine than a MAGA Republican. He has to bite the bullet on that. Both of these guys should very easily then.
There's probably no one.
Fuentes doesn't even support terrorism, and in this regard, Hasan is far more radical than Nick Fuentes is. Like he has to.
Probably no one that Abdul Al-Sayed could have a conversation with, or a friendly conversation with, or appear at a campaign event that would make me not support them in a primary if he supported court reform and the other person did not. I would have to really think about it. There's not off the top of my head.
Like Yee, and we had Nick Fuentes. What was his name? The music. Yay, sorry, fuck me. You can tell I don't listen to his shit. Like if you had Yay and you had Kanye West and you had Nick Fuentes on, and they're doing like Heil Hitler thing.
So you think Kanye West is a different person than Ye? Or was he just
and
repeating?
Let's say they're campaigning with Abdul Al-Sayed, and Abdul Al-Sayed like supports those people.
Are you farming?
With that,
it would if a person that a candidate was campaigning with was actively promoting or supporting terrorism on stage with that person, and the candidate was also supporting their support of terrorism, like if they were all, hailing Hitler together and doing a Nazi salute, then yeah, that would probably motivate me to not support that person.
But not in the past.
Sorry?
But not if they did that action in the past and they were more mask on stage.
The candidate or the person the candidate is speaking?
The person the candidate is like
the surrogate.
The candidate is not going to condemn that action, and the people on stage will not refute their previous actions. They will say like, yeah, I did that, so what?
So in your hypothetical, the reason why I ask this question is because in your hypothetical world, they would have to specifically do it on stage.
And I'm just wondering if
in
they
order
just
in order
didn't do
for
it on
me to
stage,
not
they only did it in the past.
in order for me to not support a candidate who, like, there's some things that would cause me to not support a candidate in a primary who supports court reform. Like, if, for example, if I genuinely believed that they would lose a general election, like they didn't have snowball's chance in hell, then I would probably not support them in the primary, because I would not want to set them up to lose in the general. Now, if they were competitive in the general, and they supported court expansion, then I would have their back. Now, as far as like reputational consequences and people that they campaigned with, it would have to be, in order for me to reconsider my support for a person who supports court reform, who's competitive in the general, the surrogate that they're campaigning with would have to be actively supporting terrorism in their presence. And this person.
What? So somebody could get off the plane having done a terrorist attack and then hop on stage, as long as they change their clothes, we're fine with it? What is this? This cannot possibly be real. I'm getting trolled. I'm getting trolled by reality. I'm in my mushroom trip still. Wait, what?
Competitive in the general, and they supported court expansion, then I would have their back. Now, as far as like reputational consequences and people that they campaigned with, it would have to be, in order for me to reconsider my support for a person who supports court reform, who's competitive in the general, the surrogate that they're campaigning with would have to be actively supporting terrorism in their presence. And this person would have to co-sign it or excuse it. That would be the only thing that would prompt me to reconsider.
I'm just confused on like why in their presence is like the qualifier here, or the thing that like,
because that would be the only way I would know that the candidate in question knows that the surrogate.
I don't know what this is. It's got too powerful. We need to patch this. Okay, the I don't know strategy needs to be patched, because it can't be that every single person can forever use the I don't know, and I don't know what they know, and they don't know what I don't know what they don't know, and I don't know, and I can't know unless they say they know, or they like that. It can't be that we're doing this forever. This is the most retarded defense in all of politics. It can't be like this.
Supports terrorism.
well, like if someone was to go up to Abdul al-Sayed and said, Hasan Piker said that like he hopes that like, you know, all the capitalists, their blood runs red down the streets, and we got to kill.
And if Abdul al-Sayed said, hell yeah, if Abdul al-Sayed said, hell yeah, that sounds based, man, then I would probably reconsider my support for Abdul al-Sayed. Now, if what he said instead, which is what I expect he would say based on other things he said when confronted with Hasan's statements, if he said something to the effect of, I reject that statement, I find that reprehensible, then no, that wouldn't bother me.
Now, as I understand it, he has not actively condemned those things. He has.
Has he been confronted?
I wouldn't. Yes, he has been confronted about like Hasan Piker and his support
with every single one of those statements,
and him like allowing Hasan Piker to campaign with him.
No, I understand that.
I believe the it wasn't exactly like a full-throated support, but it wasn't exactly like oh yeah, this was like.
Well, then he doesn't give a fuck.
So I've seen Abdul al-Sayed get confronted with examples of some of Hasan's statements, like again the one that's going viral is of course America deserved 9/11, and I've seen Abdul al-Sayed categorically condemn that. So
saying, just so you know, saying oh that was a stupid statement, that's not a condemnation. That's like an escape, right? That's a weasel out. Like, oh yeah, he said that, but it was like a stupid statement. He knows it was stupid, right? He knows that was dumb. That's why he disavowed and apologized, and everybody forgave him, and because everybody heard him saying, "I'm sorry."
That is sufficient for me. So you would have to show me an instance of where they say, hey, did you know Abdul al-Sayed expressed support for this particular terrorist group? And then Abdul al-Sayed would have to give a really bad answer to that question for me to reconsider my support for Abdul al-Sayed. And quite frankly, now that we're in the general, it still wouldn't change anything, because I would rather have Abdul al-Sayed in the Senate as opposed to Mike Rogers.
Jesus.
Okay.
Then why did he even give the answer before? Oh, and like he's like so proud of his boy, of how like shameless both of these cucks are for the far left. It's so shameless. It's so shameless. Like they think they're making like the sickest points. Yeah, I would support fucking terrorists. I can't wait for these guys to hop on the bandwagon in like 3 years. And I'm like, oh shit, this is actually really fucked up. Not good, guys. What was the whole point about the rattling off the retarded statements before, where it's like, well, if it had to have been in his presence when he saw the thing so that I know he could condemn it, but now it's like, well, actually, Hasan could literally like fucking eat children in front of him. And actually, I wouldn't give a fuck as long as he's for court reform. Which who the fuck even? Why the fuck would court reform and all this shit even matter? Like, this is one of those things that makes me wonder if these people even care about politics. Like, what? Why are you advocating for court reform if not to save what you think is like some noble or worthy vision of the United States of America that you're trying to preserve? Does that version of America include supporting terrorism? Like, what are we doing here? What are we thinking here? It's so brain dead. That's such a crazy. That's just crazy to me.
Let me see if I have any more things lined up on my list.
Sure.
I guess everything else is really just for Pisco. So, do you have any questions for me?
No. You're the Republican guy, right?
I'm getting a DM by a particular individual.
I guess that you're not a Republican anymore, right, North? You're a Democrat now.
I am still a registered Republican. I am.
That's not what I fucking asked.
I will be
Jesus.
supporting the Democratic Party in the 2026 and 2028 elections. With the context that like I know now. Things could change. Like if the Democratic Party went like full tits up, and who knows at that rate.
Sure, me too.
No, not Pisco.
Pisco, what about you? What about anything I said? Do you take issue with it, or do you have a different answer?
We're supporting
I don't think so.
terrorists.
I mean, I'm gonna be
guess.
honest. My eyes kind of glazed over, but it sounded like those are the calculations I'd make. I mean, like fuck Mike Rogers.
Yeah, especially in the general. Like, there's no Republican I would vote for out of the current batch of Democratic candidates.
Yeah.
I think I would vote for Lisa Murkowski, but
Over who?
Over who? She's not up, but over who?
my audio switched over. Hello.
It's
Yeah,
worse.
we hear you. You're a bit far away.
Yeah, hold on. There we are. Does that fix anything for everything? Hello.
It was way better before.
Yeah.
You sound a bit distant, North.
Every time I turn on my car, whenever I deliver a DoorDash, it switches.
Yeah, just go back to your
everything
phone.
up.
Yeah, there you go.
Now
That's
you
fine.
sound better. Now you sound
Yeah.
good. You sound like you switched back.
Wait, hold on. So with Abdul Al Sayed said, "quote That's dumb," in response to the 9/11 comment. Do you think that's like a sufficient response?
Dude, stop virtue signaling. What you want?
Oh my god! Stop virtue signaling. Oh, dude, how do they turn into how does the MAGA brain is infected too much of our political system, bro? It's infected too much. Holy shit. Is this maybe they're like eras of politics and this is like the next era? This is what it's going to be?
I think he said that's dumb. Of course, I don't agree with it. We would need to see the full context or the full.
I need more context. I need more. I can't do anything. I can't read his mind. I need more context. I need more context of everything. I need every context, all the contexts of every, and I didn't know that he had every context, all the contexts. There might be a missing context somewhere. Did we check? Did we check all the contexts? Hello? Does anybody know if we checked every context? Did we miss one?
Full statement. I don't think he said just that's dumb. And I think he's been questioned about this multiple times. So I think he's given multiple iterations of that answer. But that's dumb, yes, is obviously not an endorsement. It's a condemnation of the statement.
Oh my god!
If I say you're dumb, I'm not endorsing you. I'm probably condemning you.
No, you're not. He doesn't even believe this. I can't believe it has to be bad faith, though, right? I can't believe they were always this fucking retarded. This can't possibly be the case. This is like the politics ignition is turned on and then the brain is turned off, right? Fuentes says he wants to murder every black person, every Jew in the country, and you standing by him. Can you explain that? Well, hold on. That was dumb when he said that. That was dumb. Okay, he was being dumb. He knows he's being dumb. He was dumb. Like, what?
Like, I mean, ideally, I would want if a politician was asked the
Of
question,
course.
like, this supporter of yours who you campaigned with.
Yeah, but you didn't ask me. But you didn't ask me if it was the ideal response. You didn't ask me if that's dumb is ideal or even optimal. Certainly
Well,
not.
if it's like unideal, then like I guess it would lower your opinion of him, which I guess it was. It's just not to the point where you
Marginally.
Yeah.
of
I
not
can't.
Thanks, Pisco.
Yeah, I really
during
can't
the
stress it
time.
enough.
Marginally.
I'm trying to engage with the hypothetical,
Marginally.
assuming it's like in good faith as much as I possibly can.
Because it's so hard to imagine this asked in good faith. What he said, it's dumb. What more could you possibly want? What stronger of a condemnation could you possibly need than it's dumb? My God.
But given the existential threat we face, I can't imagine a set of practical circumstances that would prompt me to withdraw my support for a Democratic candidate, particularly in the general, over a Republican, especially if they endorse court reform. Now, in the primary, again, I'm still inclined to support a candidate who supports aggressive systemic change like court reform, DC statehood, state stuff like that. And the only thing that would immediately prompt me to reconsider that is if I thought that they were going to, because we've seen these ABC polls, right, where they may do well in the primary, but they're going to get shellacked by 50 points or whatever in the general. Then I might go, damn, I wish you were more electable, but just keeping a Republican out of the seat is even more important than having a Democrat in the seat who embraces my support of court reform. And as far as like a moral consideration, again, you would have to show that they support the reprehensible views of the surrogate in question to make me even consider withdrawing my support. A suboptimal or unideal condemnation in the face of terrible things that the surrogate has said, it would not be enough.
Am I remembering correctly that like Haley Stevens had better polling against Mike Rogers than Abdul El-Sayed?
It was like marginal. It was like 2 or 3 points. Maybe.
Yeah.
None of that matters. These guys will always simp for whatever their far left friends are simping for, meaning endorsing beforehand on every fucking election and everything. It's like the most obvious thing in the world.
Okay. If Abdul
and to be
loses this
clear,
election,
if the polling was, and if there was strong evidence that
7, 8,
Abdul
9.
stands no chance or stood no chance in a general election, and the only viable path, like, kind of the Doctor Strange thing in Avengers Endgame, like the only viable path in the, preponderance of evidence and all the timelines in the multiverse is for Haley Stevens to win, then
We would endorse her in the
that
primary.
probably would have caused me to support Haley Stevens.
If it was a
because keeping
significantly
Republican-
big poll lead, more than
Yeah.
it was, I would have endorsed Stevens, even though she would be unideal.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Hold on.
That probably would have caused me to support Haley Stevens.
If it was a
because keeping
significantly
Republican-
big poll lead, more than
Yeah.
it was, I would have endorsed Stevens, even though she would be unideal.
What I thought Stevens has always been like 5+ points ahead of Abdul when polled against the opposition in Michigan. Was that not true, or? Oh, she's APAC. True.
Yeah.
if Abdul El-Sayed loses, would this make you like rethink any of
Nope.
like your priors?
Nope.
I mean, certainly it would make me think, okay, well,
Why did the Democrats fuck this up so hard?
we have to take even more
Just gotta-
seriously like the polling gap between candidates in a primary in a swing state election. But again, as Pisco said and others said, it wasn't like a 10-point blowout. It's not like a 15-point blowout. It would just say, okay, well, the 3, 4, 5 points in some of the polls, that's going to be more impactful the next time around. But as a general heuristic, again, I'm balancing two things: the necessary reforms that I think a candidate needs to embrace in order for the Democratic Party to, win and sustain power in the future, versus their ability or their likelihood of winning a general election in the first place. Like, I'm not such an ideologue that I'm going to back an unlikely candidate in a primary simply on preference. I mean, I suppose I would if I felt that the seat was not necessary. Then maybe I would be willing to back a preferred primary candidate who's less optimal in the general. But Michigan is not something we can afford to lose. So if El-Sayed loses, it could seriously cause me to reconsider my priors, but it also depends on why he loses. So like if the Democratic coalition comes together and we unite as a caucus, and we give it our full best effort, and for what
Oh my God, all the hedging. Do you know what we're setting up here? The whole he only lost because the Democrats didn't support him enough. Holy fuck, there are like 12 different qualifiers there. As long as we all come together and we give it our full effort, and as long as Jeffries rides north and he gathers all the bannermen, and as long as everybody is in total war, and we're all doing all the commercials and everybody's endorsing with every single commercial.
comes together and we unite as a caucus, and we give it our full best effort, and for whatever reason in this political environment, which should be pretty favorable to Dr. El-Sayed, if he fails to prevail, then I think it should
Doctor, does I want to kill myself? Sorry.
be a come to Jesus meeting, not just for people who endorsed him in the primary, but for leftists writ large. Like, hey, we ran your fucking experiment, right? We ran, we did the opposite of what Laksha Jain and others recommended. We went with a more progressive preferred candidate over the moderate, and the New York Tandons of the world were correct. And so if you want to push for a more progressive candidate in a safe blue district or a safe blue state, that's fine. But in swing states, we're going to vote for moderates, and you just need to make your fucking peace with it.
I have a question for you, North, before Josiah leaves. Who would you vote
North,
for?
does that make sense? Wait a minute.
Who
Before
would
you
you
ask
vote
your
for? AOC or Hitler?
question, does that make sense, North?
I would have like one more question.
Well, just ask it to me, and then you can throw it back to Pisco.
Yeah. It's adding on to the reassessing your priors. Would you make content like condemning progressives for
Nope,
further
no.
pushing like progressive
Stop.
candidates in swing states if Abdul loses? or would you like
It would
continue
make-
on the same?
it would make it would make it more likely that I do so if I believe that this is indicative. If basically, if I am convinced based on the results of the election, if Abdul al-Sayed loses, we would need to see the extent to which he lost. We would need to see the exit polling. We would need to examine the data. And if basically at the end of the day, what it comes down to is progressive candidates just simply can't win in swing state elections, then yes, I would be much more inclined to make content saying, hey, listen, those of you who, when we always said that, just vote your heart in the primary or whatever it is, vote your preference in the primary, come together in the general. Well, again, leftists, progressives, whatever. We ran this experiment. We got behind our guy. We were in lockstep as an army together.
it's just so funny when you're in control of like your end of the media cycle, how much you can forget. Like, remember Plattner? I'm sorry. Remember that guy? Nope.
NC, the money, the influencers, the endorsements, and it wasn't enough to get us over the finish line. And keeping these seats, these swing seats and swing districts out of Republican hands is more important than putting progressives in them. And so, yes, I would call that out.
Okay, sweet. All right.
But again, North, I want to be clear. I want to be clear.
Oh,
Hang on, North, I want to be clear. The fact that if El Sayed loses, that is not enough. So if he loses, which he may very well be, I don't want you and other losers in my mentions go, aha, you lost. Where's my fucking video? Because the answer is going to be,
despite the fact that Stevens has been 5 or more points ahead. I don't know if I missed one. I don't know if El Sayed has been ahead of Rogers in any poll head to head. But,
depends on how much he lost by, why he lost, and all the facts leading up to
how about
it.
this? If he loses, how about we agree verbally to schedule some sort of like post autopsy stream, and we can go over it together.
Maybe we should do that if he wins too, and I'll gloat and you'll all bend the knee. How about that?
You know what? I'm willing to. I'll be willing to take that bet.
There was
All right, go
one
ahead,
Democratic
Yancey, for your
poll where
question.
Abdul was ahead. Okay, gotcha.
Well, I had a question for you, North.
What's up?
Who are you voting for? Hamas Piker or Jefferson Davis from the Confederacy?
What is the clip farming? I would take the Confederacy though. I don't like terrorism. I don't really like slavery either. But it's not like Hasan has some principled fucking opposition to any of these things either. It would just be enslaving different classes of people.
Hamas Piker or Jefferson Davis?
Yeah.
It would depend.
Really?
Yeah, it would depend.
All right. Is there anything else that we have to cover with Josiah?
Not that I can think of. No, I'm sure I could like think of other questions, but like a combination of like the things I already have prepared for you, Pisco, and like me DoorDashing it, I just can't think of anything right now. So.
Word. Hey.
Well, this was fun.
That was fun.
Yeah, we got to do this again sometime.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, listen, Pisco, I just got to say, I still to rub one off on that. I'm so funny. Did you appreciate that clip? I thought you were pissed off. Did you appreciate that clip
Oh,
that I sent in the group chat? Yeah.
Of the guy?
Of you.
Oh, no, I wasn't mad. Don't worry.
Okay, just making sure because that was so funny to me. Just I don't know. I appreciate that. But anyway,
we like your
listen.
stance.
Yeah, I know. No more because I have an editor now. Such things are beneath me now. I will no longer have those gaffes. It will be sneeze free. So, but guys, listen, I appreciate it. Appreciate you keeping me company in my internetless moment. And I'm gonna go suffer, I guess, in silence now. So,
all right, brother.
Bye, everybody.
Later.
Bye.
Okay, North, where we were at, we're discussing your definition of anti-Semitism. You said a discriminatory action or speech against Jews, and I was wondering whether the discrimination needs to be indexed to specifically the fact that they are Jewish, or if some other kind of discrimination is included there. That's where we left off.
I would argue that like if you have a discriminatory act that is, if we can prove the bias is like if we removed all, or if we checked all the other factors and all the other factors were consistent, and the only thing that was different there was the fact that like one person was Jewish and one person like wasn't Jewish, then I think we can determine that there's like a bias there. Would you agree or would you disagree?
Not necessarily.
You didn't listen to my fucking question. Listen for 2 seconds.
He's so mad too.
Repeat my question.
Okay, Pisco.
Oh my god.
You repeat the question. I cannot repeat the question.
I need you to listen and not listen. Maybe I should get Avi in here if he's around because I'm not able to communicate to you. Because you're clearly not listening.
How can he be so ass-pained arguing with people that disagree with him? But like, obviously they won't disagree with me or argue with me because I guess I'm bad faith or something. But then every time somebody comes on, he's like, "Why are you so bad faith?" Like, what is everybody bad faith? Like, okay.
You're dashing. My bad. Let me know when you're back.
Yeah. One moment.
My fries are cold. You debating Israel again? We're told you not to do that on the job.
I guess anti-Semitism can be applied
I
guess anti-Semitism can be applied.
Just pause.
Not against Jews.
Holy shit, he's an android.
Pause. Can you hear me? Test 1, 2, 3.
He just got
I think
revealed.
you're breaking
No,
up.
there's
on
a
my end.
robot.
Hello?
Okay, it should be better now. Just refresh. Everyone
Okay.
refresh. Everyone refresh.
Oh boy.
All right, we're back up. You can hear me, right? Hello?
Hello?
Okay.
I can hear you.
All right. We disconnected for a second. I think we're fine. Everyone press 1 if you can hear me. 1 if you can hear me.
Oh boy, you're breaking up again.
Oh no. 1, 1, 1. You're good on YouTube? Why aren't you guys typing 1? Okay. All right. North, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. What's going on?
Okay. So the question I asked was regarding whether or not the discrimination you're envisioning as part of your definition relates to discrimination against Jews because they're Jewish, and only such discrimination.
And only.
It does not have to include that. It can include discrimination against Jews just because they're Jewish, but it can be slightly more nuanced than that.
Well, what other discrimination could be included in the definition?
Yeah, idiot.
Um,
I'm bringing Avi in here.
Okay, so if you were to discriminate against someone, you might not have. Do you agree that like someone might not have like anti-Jewishness in mind, but they still might have like an anti-Jewish bias? Like, do you believe that like
No.
something like that is like inconceivable?
Impossible.
It sounds like you're saying someone could have an anti-Jewish bias without having anti-Jewish bias. I don't know what you're asking.
No,
Because the only way to have anti-Jewish bias is say,
anti-Jewish bias without that
I
being
hate
in their
Jews.
thoughts. That is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, yes, and that is basically what it would encompass.
No, but like it's all indexed to whether it's discriminatory action or discriminatory mindset. It's the discrimination component of that is indexed to
don't say intent.
anti-Jewish discrimination,
Oh my
right?
God.
Not just that's the thing that is okay. So there's not like
Yes.
some additional thing. Okay.
What if you just hate
All right,
all
so what I'm
bankers?
is-
I'm sure I can
with
think
big
of like more
noses.
nuanced things. I just want to be like entirely limited to that.
So
and I
what's
don't know
your
why
issue,
you
then?
keep like no, hold on. Why do you keep like harping on this issue? Like, is there a specific reason why outside of you saying like we're just trying to get our definitions down that you keep harping on this issue? Because it feels like
you'll
like,
start asking
ultimately
me.
this doesn't like
I don't care about
go
the meta.
against.
I don't care about meta. I don't care about meta. So
Well, this-
okay.
This is like a bit of a better conversation, but okay.
So I need to know what you mean when you.
Didn't he just talk to Connor, who's like the king of all fucking annoying fucking meta conversation? Actually, Pisco is the king of all annoying meta conversations. I don't know. Good names.
Ask me whether something's anti-Semitic. Is that fair?
Sure,
Okay.
but like, does me saying that like it can be a little bit nuanced? Does that like inherently discredit what I have been trying to talk about or what I've talked about before?
Does saying it's nuanced discredit the things you say? No.
Yes. Okay. So then, yeah, I don't understand why we keep having like this like major contention, and you keep
I
like
just
trying to
told
shit on me
you.
when we could just like keep moving on.
No, because it was clear that there was like a mismatch between what I was meaning with anti-Semitic and what you were meaning with anti-Semitic, and so that's why I wanted to clarify.
Hey, sure.
But it sounds like we don't disagree. So, for example, if someone just because someone harbors, Holocaust denialist ideology, you would agree that's not inherently anti-Semitic. Yes or no?
The actions reflect into anti-Semitism. Yes.
It's
like
strong evidence. It's strong evidence for anti-Semitism, but it's not inherently correct.
like Holocaust denialism in the action reflects into anti-Semitism.
No,
like if you
Listen to what I just said.
Listen to him.
Holocaust denial beliefs. Those are not necessarily. It's not necessarily the case the person who harbors such beliefs is an anti-Semite. Correct?
I would argue that they are an anti-Semite because
Oh my
that is like a
Is it
discriminatory.
necessarily
like,
so the case?
That's not necessarily
Avi,
true.
can you
though.
help me?
Like,
I
I
can't
just
get there. I can't do
There,
this.
We can't get through to him.
there's
He's
no
too
such thing
retarded.
As someone who
Bring
maybe
in
there
the
is such a
Jew.
thing, but maybe it's like one like a trillion person. And this is like not applicable at all. That there might be a anti-Semitic person or a non-anti-Semitic person who's a Holocaust denier, and like they don't express that belief at all in like their actions or their speech. Like sure that's like possible, but this is like so in the weeds that like I don't think it discredits like what I'm talking about.
So I don't
That didn't
think
mean anything.
Pisco is asking you, North, about what the probability of a situation like that obtaining is going to be. We could all agree that's going to be like ridiculously low. It might even be an empty set. It might be just like there is no
I
case
would argue that it probably is like an empty set.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. It might be an empty set, but that's fine. He's not trying to make a claim about whether the set is empty or not.
Well,
he's
he's
doing-
saying that in order to discredit my definition of like anti-Semitism when his example is so non-existent that it just doesn't even matter.
Well, I think he's giving a non-existent example because he's trying to tease out whether there's a component.
Oh, he believes in this. This is what he says that he believes is existent.
Well, no, he's in the hypothetical he's offering. He's
No,
not saying,
Pisco, you believe this, right? You believe that there's such a thing as like
Believe
a
what?
Holocaust denier who's not anti-Semitic.
In the hypothetical, it's possible. Is all I'm saying.
Do you believe that in the hypothetical, as in like as part of your definition of anti-Semitism, do you believe that you can have like a Holocaust denier who is not anti-Semitic?
That it's
The
possible.
can
Yes.
there is the hypothetical. He's not claiming like right now there's someone out there that is.
I'm
denying the
asking as
Holocaust.
part of his definition, is that true?
Is what true?
Is as part of your definition of
sorry.
anti-Semitism, can you have a Holocaust denier who is not anti-Semitic?
I'm done.
It's possible.
Logically possible.
So yes, he believes in this.
No,
part of
he
his
just thinks it's
definition.
logically possible.
Yeah, he believes.
North is missing the Pisco is logic lording right now, and North is like missing the the actual argument that's happening, and that's what Avi is trying to clear up. Because North is saying that in reality, there's probably never going to be an Holocaust revisionist or Holocaust denier that is anti-Semitic, and Pisco is asking if it's logically possible. I mean, we can hypothesize a person who doesn't believe in the Holocaust. We can, and even, I don't know, Pisco's too stupid and can't think of an example. But like, we could say, like, what if you were raised in a country where they literally just didn't teach the Holocaust? They taught all of World War II, and they never taught that the Holocaust happened. But this person goes through life. They don't harbor any other ill or weird beliefs about Jews. They don't discriminate against them. They don't believe in any Nazi shit. Like, would that person be anti-Semitic? Probably not. I don't think we would say that. Not at all. So, but Pisco has no charitability for anybody that he's arguing with on this topic, and then or he can't navigate it himself. So hopefully Abby can clear it up.
It's possible. He also would believe that he could also believe that's an empty set, though. Like
That's what Avi means when he says it's an empty set. That you've created some definitions, and now from this definition, and now from these things we understand. So, for instance, like we have some definition of anti-Semitism, we have an understanding of Holocaust revisionism. Like there could theoretically be in a hypothetical world, there could be Holocaust revisionists or Holocaust denialists who aren't anti-Semitic. Hypothetically, logically, there's nothing that would make this an impossibility. But like if we were to analyze in the real world, who that describes, it could literally be nobody, right?
realize those two things are compatible. He could say, if you ask him, is there any person on Earth right now who denies the Holocaust and is not an anti-Semite?
I would doubt it.
He would say he can say, I think there are none. Like you can hold that view and also hold the view that it's possible to deny the Holocaust without being an anti-Semite.
Okay, when we apply this, let's apply this to reality. Do you think this applies to Hasan Piker?
What applied to? Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know why. I don't know how Pisco is so retarded and can't follow the argument though. Like I don't know why he thinks that it's so difficult for, or he just can't understand what North is getting at. I don't understand why. I don't understand.
I'm not
Do you think
doing
that
it,
Hasan Piker and like his hatred for Israel is insofar as like it is not like anti-Semitic?
Yeah. Well, the answer is motivated reason or something. Something in the politics brain has shut off our ability to function.
You're asking me whether I think Hasan. I don't know how that relates to what we were just talking about.
What do you think the whole conversation?
So I think what Pisco's trying to get like a clarity on the notions of anti-Semitism you both have, because there's a focal point that he seems to be detecting that you might not be on the same page on, and so he's going to answer the question differently depending on whether that focal point is present or absent from
Like
this notion.
we're getting bogged down in this Holocaust denier anti-Semite thing when it's just not applicable to reality, and I just kind of want to move on from it because it ultimately does not matter.
You don't have to use that example to illustrate the difference.
Yeah, you two have a good night.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Listen, I'm on your side here. I think
he's door dashing.
I think Hasan's anti-Semitic too. I'm just able to see the difference between where you guys are getting hung up on. I'm trying to clear it up. I'm trying to help at least. I'm not trying to like fight you. I agree with you on if the debate proposition is Hasan Piker is an anti-Semite. I agree with you.
The nice waitress who was giving me the DoorDash order as I was waiting.
He was door dashing. He wasn't leaving.
Yes.
Sorry. I thought he was like.
No. I would be polite to the nice waitress who decided to come out to my car to go hand me the food I'm delivering to a person.
Okay, because when you said like you two have a nice night.
No. I said have a nice night to the lady. I'm sorry. I should have needed.
Okay.
Look. Ultimately, what is the point of you trying to bring up the non-anti-Semitic Holocaust denier, Pisco? What is the exact point you're trying to bring?
So I can explain. I can try to explain. I think you might be here better.
Where is North at? Does North eventually figure out what's happening in this convo? Pisco is just trying to figure out what is your like strict logical definition of anti-Semitism before moving on to the next part of the conversation. Like that's what Pisco is trying to do. Pisco can't clarify this in words, which is why I guess Avi's here now to try to clarify this. But this is the contention right now.
Better from Avi, but.
Wait, I want to hear from you because you're the one that brought it up.
So
right?
The reason I bring up this hypothetical is to suggest to you that there's a mismatch in how we're using the term anti-Semitism, that you seem to be using anti-Semitism in a way that I don't quite understand. And so the example illustrates that mismatch.
I'm going to be No, I'm just kidding. I'm already explained it. You can hear me. I'll be. Pisco's just horrible at explaining it. Like I don't even understand what he just explained.
Okay, let's say But let's say that
my
we
God.
disagree on this specific part of like a definition for anti-Semitism. Could we go into the Hasan Piker, and as I've said before, like if he has this justification for hating Israel, and then he doesn't apply that same justification for other states, then and we link that to like a Jewish bias or not, then this contention that we're having over anti-Semitism does not apply to what I'm trying to bring up, right?
I'm not sure. It depends on what you mean by anti-Semitic and what you're asking people to evaluate with respect to.
Hold on, but when we're talking about anti-Semitic in this case, I'm saying that Hasan Piker has a series of justifications for hating on the nation state of Israel and like Israeli politicians and people who like support Israel. And I would argue that those justifications for that are selectively only applied to Jews, and that is like the bias that we're seeing. Because if you would apply it to like anything else, you wouldn't apply like the exact same standard.
So you're asking if you were able to show that he has an anti-Jewish bias, would he have an anti-Jewish bias?
And would that be anti-Semitic?
I would think that anti-Jewish bias is by definition anti-Semitic.
Oh my
I don't know about Avi. Do you?
Yes, so then we agree. Yes, so can we get into the substance of it instead of going over
I
this
just want to make sure.
Definitely don't agree. You
anti-Semitic
definitely don't agree.
definition debate? You understand that, right?
That's funny
Like,
to
we're
think
going
you
over this anti-Semitism definition thing, but ultimately it doesn't matter to like maybe if we get into a new situation with like Hasan Piker where like that contention in the definition applies, maybe then we can get into that
The reason why I want to clear up the semantics first.
It doesn't apply. So
the reason why I want to clear up the
just shouldn't
semantics
matter.
first. The reason why I want to clear up the semantics first is because it might bear on what evidence you're going to present to me, right?
Well, shouldn't I just present the evidence first, and then if it does contend, then we can get into it? But if not, we're just going to be wasting our time over nothing.
Avi, can you explain? Because I can't.
So
No,
it sounds like-
hold on.
Yeah, it sounds like what,
Why do you need Avi to explain? Why do you need Avi?
Because I can reach your head. You won't listen to me.
Well, you're not contending with what I'm saying.
I don't think you're going to listen to me if I explain it.
Like we're not talking about like when we're talking about the definition of anti-Semitism, it is not like 5 different bullet points and all of them have to be true. If we agree that like an anti-Jewish bias is anti-Semitic, and I'm trying to demonstrate that Hasan has an anti-Jewish bias,
Yeah, I can work with that.
Definition thing that we have a contention over.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's
then
fine.
it should not apply to the conversation.
yeah,
because even if we disagree with that, we still.
Oh, hello.
Hello?
Are you okay? Is something wrong with your voice?
What? No, my voice is fine.
Oh, it sounds a lot higher than normal. What's up?
Why is it so quiet? Can you make it not quiet?
Yeah.
Oh, there's 2 of you. It's Darius. And Zug. Hi, what's up?
Oh, it is quiet as fuck.
Yeah, why is it so...
Because you have it set to the phone thing instead of like the speaker option if you're using mobile Discord.
Good enough.
I know. All right, listen.
Hi.
It's Zug. I don't understand why semantics of Holocaust denial are even... Why is it up for negotiation at all? What is wrong with this dude, Pisco?
Well, this is... It would take me a long time to explain this. This is very complicated. Pisco's doing a very complicated like logic argument. The argument that Pisco is making is before you define whether or not somebody's anti-Semitic, you have to figure out like what do we consider anti-Semitism or any form of bigotry at all. And especially for anti-Semitism, it's more confusing because it's also mixed up with a religion and it's mixed up with a country, and it's only one religion and it's only one country. So sometimes people...
And an ethnicity.
Well, yeah, well, that was a given. I was giving, but like, imagine if there was like one country of black people, and it was just the United States of America. Well, a lot of people, instead of being racist against black people, could just say, "I hate all Americans. I hate everybody from the U.S." or whatever. And now it's a slightly more sophisticated conversation. What?
It's just this like, it's this like weird, like underhanded projection, and it's just sleazy because we all know what he's fucking talking about. This is like why anti-Semitism is what it is. That's why it's so pervasive. That's why it seeps into every part of the society. That's why the Holocaust even happened, because it's so hard to identify, because it's so subversive and it's so sleazy and shit that like
Sure.
It's hard to pinpoint, and then people don't see it, but there is always this undercurrent. So to even try to play into that undercurrent and make it seem like it's some kind of intellectual conversation is inherently anti-Semitic in itself. To even say like, oh, is Holocaust denial like anti-Semitic or no? It's not even up for debate. It's not like a Holocaust denial is the final stage of a genocide. That is the final stage so that it can happen again. And anytime that you have prevalent anti-Semitism in a society, it's an indicator that there are deeper underlying issues within that society. It's like one of the first indicators of a sick society. Like, because it doesn't end with Jews, like it ends with other groups. That's where that whole first they came for this, then they came for that, but I didn't say anything because it wasn't me. They taught it to us in schools. I just don't understand what he gets out of this. What does Pisco get out of this but some sense of like entitlement and superiority intellectually? Like, he doesn't have that.
Okay, what do you want me to say? Gee, yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I
anti-Semitism
just
is
like
bad.
I
What do
was
you want me to
listening
say?
to
It's
this.
not good.
Dude, I was just listening to this on Darius's stream or on Darius's computer or whatever, and I was like, this is so fucked up. Like, none of this is up for negotiation. And even saying like, oh, could Hasan be not anti-Semitic because it's about Israel, blah, blah, blah. No, because he would never say anything about the genocide in Sudan. He would never say anything about Russia and Ukraine. Like, it's just beyond me, dude. It's beyond me. Anyway, that's all I had to say here.
Well, thanks for your...
Ducker Z.
What do you think about that, Darius?
All right. Fuck, dude. Hasn't Sudan a car?
Okay, I love you.
Still agree that Hasan Piker would be anti-Semitic.
Take a fucking breath. I'm losing my temper with you, okay?
Oh my god, he's so mad.
Chill, all right? So if
Take
you
a
want to work off my
fucking
notion
breath.
of anti-Semitism, where one of the notions indexed to individuals is anti-Jewish bias, I'm happy to do that. The problem is, North, many people have
That's
been
what I'm trying to do.
unwilling, many people in these conversations,
Many.
and how it seemed to be
Don't
as
say
you
me.
entered, since you seem to take issue, don't want to do that. They want to say that anti-Semitism is like something about effects and functional anti-Semitism and like causing anti-Semitism or whatever, something to increase.
Wait, hold on.
or-
Do you disagree that like if you have no, we're gonna get bogged down into this debate again. First,
Yeah.
let's agree or disagree on that
Yeah.
everything, and then we can get to the contention. Because I agree with you. There has been contention on the anti-Semitic thing, but the problem is we keep getting bogged down in that conversation without actually getting
It's
to like,
not
the
my
substance
fault.
of-
It's not my fault that we're getting bogged
Well,
down.
hold on. You're applying other people's arguments to me.
No,
Like,
you were
I
also
agree
you
with those
also
other people.
started down
but
that path.
ultimately, you tried to draw to
No. You started down that path. You asked me what I viewed anti-Semitism as, and you were taking
Yes.
issues. You were having some issues with it.
Problem? Troll face?
I was
That's
asking
why
you
you offered an
questions.
alternative definition, right?
Well, I offered a personal definition. I wouldn't say it was like an
Yeah, so there was an
alternative
issue there.
definition
It
for,
wasn't
like, a
my
hard
fault.
debate thing.
You think,
It was
you think I have
your
an issue with
fault,
applying my
bitch.
own notion of anti-Semitism? You think that's been the problem?
Like the one thing that I had in contention with your definition was the like it felt like you were trying to group like that it had to be specifically with in mind that something had to be like against that had to be like hatred of Jews in their brain for it to be like anti-Semitic.
What are you
when
saying?
I think that
What are
there
you
can
even
be
saying?
like the action
You're
in and of
sick.
itself without the hatred.
You're a fucking sick
can be
wacko.
anti-Semitic. As in, like, the
I've
action can
granted
be
that.
anti-Semitic
Wait,
without like the hate.
but you heard me grant
Well,
that.
that's what I thought you were implying with the definition, and that's why I asked you the question. I
No,
guess if you
you
don't
didn't
disagree
think
with that,
that.
then
No.
then we don't.
You didn't, but we can move on if you want. All right, so using my notion
Okay.
of anti-Semitism.
Okay, can we get into the Hasan thing, please?
Yeah,
And then we
yeah,
can get back to this is an interesting discussion, and I don't want to leave the discussion. I want to get back to this discussion. The problem is that we're getting like you agree
Hey,
that we're getting like bogged down in this discussion,
If you
and we
go
can just
crazy,
like
again,
it's just better
if
to
you
move
go
on.
crazy again, I'm ending this fucking call. All right, just chill for a second.
Am I going
all right?
crazy?
Yes, you're going crazy. You're making me mad.
Okay.
All right. So yes, I'm happy to move to Hasan, whether he's anti-Semitic, on my notion of anti-Semitism.
On my terms,
I've never had a
though,
problem with that.
You little bitch.
Avi,
Sure.
Avi and Loner and I I mean, it's difficult because we're in fucking different time zones. Avi, I think that the time window is like between 9 and 4 Eastern, if you're available.
Yeah,
sometime this
that's
week.
fine. I could make.
Okay.
No. Listen, I think the last in our group chat, I said I was free during at least a little bit in that time
boy.
window.
Okay. All right.
But-
So let's we're gonna have a conversation about that too, and I want Lonerbox, to hear him out too. But like, I'm happy to hear your case for
Every
Hasan
single
anti-Semitism,
person.
If you want to do that now.
I'm
On
the
my
only
notion of
bad faith
anti-Semitism.
one. All those people are good faith, but I'm bad. What the fuck?
Fucking DoorDash is yelling right here. Give me one moment. Okay, here.
You're like,
when
my sandwich is
okay,
cold.
well,
I was debating about Israel and Hasan.
it's when I pull up, it talks in my ear saying like deliver to door.
Can I just ask, like, what happens if you like deliver to a Jewish family when you're in the middle of this?
Okay,
They start clapping
Hasan,
and crying.
Anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
First off, do you believe that like Hasan displays a anti-Jewish bias
I'm
in
not
terms of
convinced
like,
of it.
let's say all else equal? Okay.
But I'm open to it.
What
I'm
do
not
you?
convinced.
Okay. I think the greatest example of this would probably be the difference in Hasan's rhetoric versus Turkey and for Israel. That would be my greatest argument for an anti-Jewish.
That's the best
bias.
piece of evidence you have is the difference between his rhetoric on Turkey
So
versus
I
Israel.
think
Is he breaking up for you, Avi, or is it just me?
He's breaking up for me as well.
Oh man, what a debate.
Pro-Israel internet.
There's North. There's a lot of better options to pick for
Yeah.
evidence here. This wouldn't be my first book.
Hello.
Hey, you're there. Yeah.
Hello. Okay. Well, it was a bit of a.
By the way, I never asked people this question, but should start. Ask North what it would take for him to start focusing more on the right than his current focus on the left. Must a fascist become POTUS 3 times since 2 isn't enough? Oh, so it's the Trump third term thing? Holy shit. Josiah's starting to believe his own clickbait titles. Oh no. That's what we're worried about right now?
The reason why I
Not just me, right?
It is.
like how the state of Turkey has acted, how the state of Israel's acted, Hasan's justification for opposing the state of Israel, and then applying that like the state of Turkey. There's an inconsistency there that I think can only be applied to like an anti-Jewish bias. And
What about
and I bring
pro-Turkey
this up
bias?
specifically because there is like
Is that possible?
well, you could apply it to like other nation states as well. Like Turkey,
So
like
this was
the
but this
best
is
way
the
to go into
strongest
in terms of like
evidence.
substance.
You're not going to give up that easily
Like,
on the best.
by strongest evidence, I mean like it is the easiest to go into in terms of like substance while I'm like in my car.
Yeah, so why
I
don't we
have
do that?
phone clips on hand for me to be able to send
Okay,
you.
so then why don't we do the Turkey point?
Okay. Turkey is a, I guess you call it like an ethno-nationalist state. So it is a state for the Turks, by the Turks.
Hello, can you hear me?
It is.
Hi, what's up?
All right. This is probably not my best argument, but because I was in my car at the time, I couldn't like bring up specific clips or anything like that. This was like what I thought at the time was like the easiest thing to get into in terms of substance, just off the top of my head. So this part's just a little bit cringe. I'm forewarning
Okay.
you and the audience.
Be careful.
So have fun.
Is engaged in discriminatory behavior against the minorities within the country, as well as
Agreed.
occupying territories outside of the country.
Agreed.
And
These don't start
in the same
the things don't start spoiling until they come out? I didn't know that.
manner that Hassan Pike would call apartheid in the nation state of Israel.
Oh, that's unclear to me. Wait,
Turkey,
that's unclear to me.
Uh-oh.
well, they occupy like other. I guess they don't occupy like an entire country next to them, but they do occupy like territory outside of like their country against a ethnic minority that resides like within their country, with the fear that that ethnic minority is like going to like rise up within their country. Like, do we not see like a little bit of like equivalency there?
So he could. I'm just again, these are not my views necessarily, but he could say he views the conditions in Gaza versus whatever Kurdish security zone or whatever, or even internally in Turkey, that he views those conditions as fundamentally different. It could be that he is Turkey biased and that he's willing to because I think he's partly Turkish. If not, he might have Turkish citizenship. I'm not sure. So that could explain it as well.
I think he grew up in.
And they don't know anything about this guy at all. Why do they have such strong opinions? I don't understand. Jesus.
Turkey, so I'm assuming he has Turkish
Okay,
citizenship.
so I don't think that you've done your job of convincing me that's because it's Jewish. I mean, it could just be that he views the conditions differently, and he views Turkey as
Well, hold on.
he's biased in favor of Turkey.
Hold on. Does bias in favor of Turkey mean that Hassan? Well, hold on. So if we were to like have other states that he would also hold like the exact same rhetoric for,
He's stumbling here
in the
because he's
same way that
getting
he does like with
fucking
Turkey,
owned, by the
then
way.
that would also show is just beyond like a bias for Turkey, right? It's like a bias against Israel. Would you accept that premise?
I mean, it depends if there's some other, the pro-Turkey rationale wouldn't be, if what you're asking is a pro-Turkey rationale, I'm assuming that wouldn't be a plausible, comparison.
Like if there were other states that
Uyghur-
also engaged in this behavior, which he similarly like excused, then. And which you would not like apply that to the one specific example of like Israel, then we would call this like the anti-Israel bias.
Okay, but now we're having that problem again. Avi, can you? I can't get through. So the anti-Israel bias.
Or I guess we'll call anti-Jewish bias.
That's what you're looking
He would
for,
also apply
right?
this to-
He's so
yes.
triggered.
Okay, so yeah, if you could show different countries where there's like an inconsistent standard or something, that would be some evidence.
China, Turkey, I guess you could say Russia. Those are like the big three examples of where he would support like ethnic cleansing, like the annexation of like or occupation of other territories in like other countries, as well as like promoting like ethno-nationalist states. While
So
also,
let's just pause real quick. So you're saying
like,
Hasan is in favor
discrimination
of
is, like-
you're saying Hasan is in favor of ethno-nationalism in China?
It would be the promotion of the Han Chinese population against the minorities in China, that being like the Tibetans as well as the Uyghurs.
Sorry, did you hear my question?
Yes, the answer would be yes.
Okay. And so what are the statements that indicate he's in favor of ethno-nationalism in China?
Meanwhile, sorry, I just read the first sentence of this. Maybe he won't say what I think he'll say. Okay, so Holocaust revisionism, not necessarily anti-Semitic. Hates Israel, country for Jews, not necessarily anti-Semitic. Thinks AIPAC is killing the government, Jews, not anti-Semitic necessarily, not as necessarily anti-Semitic.
So to agitate.
Meanwhile, what does it mean to be xenophobic, to hate China?
But your point is also to agitate. As you told us the last time you were with us, I saw your speech to the College Democrats of America in July 2026. And I also saw that you wore an outfit reminiscent of the former Chinese communist dictator, which sparked some controversy. You got your suit on today. But those things will find themselves in Republican attack ads and have angered some Democrats. I'm asking about actions like that. Do those things make it harder for Democrats to win in November?
No, it's entirely dependent on how they use this opportunity. I think it's ironically a good opportunity, right?
It's a good opportunity. He's being so helpful. Yes.
Because that's precisely what happened with Abdul al-Sayed's race as well. But Abdul was so good, just like Zoran was, and just like Zoran still is, at reframing that moment in the spotlight to turn that into a moment where you can deliver your policy platform. The reality of the matter is, these things are immaterial. That I was wearing this Zhongshan suit. It's not just Mao Zedong, obviously.
But you know what you're doing. You know good and well.
I do, and I really love that suit, by the way. I mean, it's tailored. I got it tailored in Shanghai from the family that actually invented the Zhongshan suit. Like it has significance for me. But the way that people were looking at that, the way that Facebook boomers were responding to the Fox News comment on that news hit was very reflective of where Americans are broadly, where the base is broadly, where they almost harken it back to the Obama tan suit. There was a lot of like Obama tan suit comparisons, but they were like, the president's a pedophile. Dude. Who cares what this one random guy is wearing as a suit?
The question is not really whether they stay home, or does that motivate them to vote for the other candidates? Does that motivate them to vote for Stevens? Does that motivate them to vote for Crowley?
No, I don't think that is what, that's what allowed Haley Stevens to perform as well as she did, especially in comparison to the Gretchen Whitmer endorsement and Gary Peters endorsement, the outbound.
Other things matter more.
Of course they mattered a lot more. So it's always a calculation, right? It's always a calculation for the campaigns. They poll me in these districts. It's not like these guys are, out in the water, totally blind, where they're like,
they poll me? What does he mean by that? Like poll how Hasan does them? Hasan keeps implying there's like this really high level coordination where like these campaigns are begging him to come and show up and leach off.
Yeah, it's a song guy. Like, listen,
this is an intentional choice around the audience.
Wasn't Taylor so happy that you wore a suit that he printed out a picture of you wearing it and put it inside his store? Yes, he did. And I love that suit. And I'm gonna keep wearing it too. I'm not gonna stop wearing the suit, just for the record. I just wear it to like special events, right? I really like it. It has special significance for me. It's a reminder of my trip to China, which I enjoyed.
God.
It's a great suit, and I look good. I look good in it. I'm not gonna stop wearing it. I don't care if people are. I don't care if people take it in a very like, I would go so far as to say xenophobic direction.
Really? Even in China, remember, they don't fucking wear these fucking suits, by the way. So anti-Chinese racism, if you have a problem with that suit. Okay, back to our good memes.
Support for the nation state in China, in spite of the fact that they are engaged in, I guess you would call it cultural genocide, although some people sort of like contest that term, against the Uyghur genocide.
So pause real quick. Can you pause real quick? Can you pause real quick? Is it your contention? Let's do it one at a time. Is it your contention that supporting a country which is an ethnic nationalist country, or that has an ethnic preference, commits you to being ethnic nationalist?
Well, the reason why he goes
Answer the fucking question. I'm not going to ask again.
The answer is yes. Or is there, no,
in virtue of
it doesn't even make you an ethno-nationalist. It's more so the fact that he's willing to ignore the ethno-nationalism with certain states, and then other states he will not ignore the ethno-nationalism.
Avi, I can't deal with this.
He's so mad.
So, I mean, I don't know if you want me to.
I do.
Fine. Okay.
Okay, Avi, what's going on?
What's going on, North? Okay. So just want to make sure we're clear on this. So Pisco has a notion of anti-Semitism that it's going to have to be, whether it's like in the mind or whether it's an action, it's going to be the sort of thing that it's going to at least have to be partially explained by the fact that it's prejudice against Jews, and it's explained because they're Jews and not some other sort of thing. It's not like some other sort of ideological thing independent of that. It doesn't have to fully be explained by that, but at least has to be partially be explained by that.
But the problem is that the rhetoric applied against the Jewish state, it is the only state that he will apply that rhetoric to. Like, when is the last time you heard Hasan, like if you want to say that like Hasan Piker has like a anti-West, like pro, I guess countries that like hate America bias, instead of saying like it's anti-Jewish
I would say
bias.
that, by the way.
Hasan Piker has never applied the exact same rhetoric for, let's say, Germany or Poland, at least not in the same way of calling them like ethno-nationalist states.
So what I just said. So I hear you. But what I just said was that it's going to have to be explained, at least in part, just by the fact that they're Jewish and not because of that they're a Jewish state. Unless there's some way of saying that.
Well, hold on. There's only one Jewish state.
I know there's only one Jewish state. Whether there's this is going to be true whether there's one state or Jewish or 2 or 3 Jewish states or 10. It doesn't, like, regardless.
So if we're like discriminating against like the one Jewish state, then like would we not consider that like to be an anti-Jewish bias?
No. So on the notion Pisco just gave you, you can have a anti-Israel bias without having an anti-Jewish bias. So, and yes, you would have an anti-Jewish state bias without necessarily.
Yes, but like the bias that we're talking about here is only applied selectively to the Jewish state.
It would be an inconsistency. Yes, you could have an inconsistency.
Well, hold on. What are we calling would we not call like an inconsistency in like applying your standards? Would we not call that like discrimination?
Yeah, but it wouldn't be against Jews qua Jews. It wouldn't be like that's what Pisco was going to tell you. He was going to say, like, on the
but like if you're only applying it like against just one particular state, then yes, it is. That is like the changing factor.
It doesn't necessarily look. The point is that what Pisco is going to, the notion Pisco just gave you, and this is what I really want to grasp before like either making the decision of whether you want to either fight him on the notion and saying the notion is going to commit him to something weird, or just going on to evidence. You want to grasp what he's going to say to those things based on his notion. He has a notion where he's going to tell you that even all the things you're saying, you could have this inconsistent standard about Israel. You can be like completely unfair to Israel and uncharitable to Israel, unfair to the Jewish state. You can like not apply it consistently anywhere. But none of that is going to commit him on his definition to an anti-Semitic notion. Like, you can do all of that without being anti-Semitic. It might be evidence he's anti-Semitic, but just so you know, like,
hold on. Wait, how can something be evidence of anti-Semitism? Like, as in it fits within like the standard of what we call anti-Semitism, that being like bias.
Well, evidence would be
like anti-Semitic, and we also agreed earlier that like the.
So
sorry,
North.
Say that again.
Wait, fuck. Okay, hold on. Where is North? North, if you're listening, you can join for like 2 seconds. I can explain this.
Yeah. So the way you
no, Pisco, I didn't hear what Pisco said.
I said it raises the credence.
It raises the credence. Okay.
Yeah. So if, for example, like someone could be like a raging anti-Zionist that is genuinely unfair and has double standards and is unfair against Israel. Like it is possible on the notion that Pisco gave you that someone would be just completely unfair to Israel, but still not. It's not because they're Jewish. It's not because. It's because they're Israel, like that.
So then how are we going to be differentiating? All right. I would argue that the when we're talking.
Okay, real quick. Okay, so one of the things that's missing here is like some kind of like definition, some kind of functional definition of like anti-Semitism or bigotry is what the question that Pisco is trying to tease out. So you're trying to go, you're trying to get up to. You want to lay out a standard of evidence for why you believe either Pisco or Hasan is either anti-Semitic or supporting anti-Semitic people, right? That ultimately that's the goal, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the problem is you're providing evidence for, it would be the equivalent of me coming into I'm coming into a conversation with you, okay? And we have our friend Alish, and I want to prove to you that Alish is guilty of like Zubvupfar, okay? And then you're asking me what that is, and I'm saying, well, let me just like, I just want to tell you like what they've done, and then we're gonna like build towards this. And then you keep asking me like, what I need to know what your standard is for like whether or not somebody has done like Zubvupfar or whatever, right? But you're not. It doesn't matter if I'm laying out the evidence for why I think they've done this thing if you don't have like a definition of what is, like what criteria even need to be met for it to be that thing.
The problem is that if we have like at least a partial common definition of anti-Semitism, that being like proving that there's like an anti-Jewish bias when you like remove all factors. If we can just agree on that, and then the contested part of the definition for anti-Semitism does not come up with like the rest of the conversation, then like it might be an interesting conversation to have like afterward, but it shouldn't.
Sure,
like,
but I think the issue you run into here,
shouldn't.
Sure, I understand what you're saying there. The issue that you might be running into here, though, is I don't think you'll ever be able to define any kind of bigotry absent everything else, right? Like if I tell you that I have a person who's in charge of hiring, okay, and this person never discriminates on race, but if they see like a Tyrone or like a LaQuisha name or anything like that, they'll throw it out. But like all else equal, if assuming they don't have those two names, even if they know a person's black, there's a guy named John White and John Black, and then on paper, they're more or less equal. Maybe John Black is a little bit more qualified. He'll always hire John Black. Would you say that the guy's not racist because he's only discriminating on those names that are exclusively black names? Right? It gets a little bit more complicated at that point. So we probably need a slightly expanded definition of what our racist or bigoted definition, right? Otherwise, essentially somebody can always escape being anti whatever or bigoted in some way because that person is just going to be able to use proxy traits that are mapping on like 100% of the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah. So, but you have to flesh that definition out, and then it's especially complicated because Jew is like a state, a race, and a religion. So technically, somebody could always just be anti-Semitic, but never have to actually be anti-Semitic because they just replace Jew with Zion. And they'll always basically be able to get away with that. And then you'll see, like, for conservatives, what kind of it is with black people, and that you can just replace black with, sometimes words like thug or, any other number of proxy traits. And then you can say, well, I'm not racist. I'm just, these are just the kinds of people that I don't like. But if that group of people ends up encompassing, like, 80 to 100% of the people that you are talking about, the people that you're not supposedly targeting, but you're essentially targeting all of them anyways, I think people would start to look at that in highly sus ways, and then you can move on to the next part of the conversation. It's like, okay, well, let's assume somebody was anti some group of people, anti-Semitic or whatever, and then let's assume that the person is also just anti-Zionist. Like, how would we see these behaviors play out differently? So, like, I think, for instance, it's really, 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 really weird when, like, there's a term that gets thrown around called spiritually Israeli. That's a really weird thing. And there's also things where people start to harp on I don't know if you say like genetic characteristics. Like, I don't know if you notice this, but anytime people are posting stuff of like settlers fighting or whatever, but just Israelis in general, they always have this picture of this inbred dude. I don't even know if he's inbred or whatever. A guy with a fucking big jar or some bullshit. And they're like, oh, like you can tell that this guy is fucking Israeli because he's inbred. And it's like, well, I thought that was just a nationality, bro. Or I thought that was right. So something else is like obviously going there. It's obviously going on there. And then on a further point, you have to get into the weeds on this, but on a further point, if somebody were to say like, oh, well, I think that like, I think Israel is like an apartheid state or whatever. It's like, well, why? Well, there's a super disparate treatment in the West Bank. And it's like, okay, well, do you think that's based on race or do you think it's based on nationality? And like, well, I think it's based on race. Like the nationality here or something is irrelevant. I don't know how you then explain, okay, so then when you hate Zionists and you hate people in Israel, does that include the 2 million Arab Palestinians that are Israeli citizens? Because they don't experience the same discrimination that people in the West Bank experience. So, but they're all Israeli. Even they wouldn't like you to call them up. They're all citizens of Israel, but like you probably wouldn't call them that, right? So then what do you delineate on then? On race? Or you could do religion, which gets weirder, but like, but you have to, these are like very in the weeds arguments, but I'm just trying to come back to stress that like what Pisco's trying to do here, but he's too dug in or autistic to frame it. And what Avi's trying to assist here is that like, you just have to have some shared definition of anti-Semitism before you start building the case for why you believe some person's anti-Semitic. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, I love you. Be careful.
Yeah.
Talking about, okay, so if we have the raging anti-Zionist, and we're assuming that they're not going to be anti-Semitic, I would argue the burden of proof should be on proving that they are not anti-Semitic.
Who's talking about burdens?
That they like are.
Well, hold on.
Anti-Semitic.
Okay, well, wait. But before we get to further argument, like you understand the North. Before we can move on, before we go on to that, like you understand, like this is the notion Pisco's working with, and it might be different from your notion.
I understand sort of where Pisco's coming from. Like, I think it's wrong, and I would argue against it.
Okay, fine. But I'm just okay. But it's important to realize, like, if you're going to move on to like the practical, like, okay, I'm going to present evidence for his notion of anti-Semitism. It's important for you to recognize like where that's different from yours.
Sure, and we can operate within his definition of anti-Semitism, and then if the evidence that I proved, like if I can prove that like there is a Jewish bias beyond an anti-Jewish bias beyond
anti-Israel bias, beyond anti-Israel.
Like, anti-Israel bias. I would argue that like the anti-Israel bias is like where we would start, and then like we can continue this on to like his other actions, like whenever there was like the synagogue shooters, him and how his chat sort of like reacted to that being like generally supportive. When there are I think he was perpetuating like the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories of like the New York tunnels. If anyone remembers that, I have to double check on that. If he was perpetuating those anti-Jewish like conspiracy theories, like he uses the term like pig dog a lot. We generally consider pig dog to be like a historical anti-Semitic phrase used in Poland and Germany. like all these things in together with like if we're talking about like an like he's applying an inconsistent standard in which he wishes the complete destruction of the one Jewish state that exists, then yeah,
Sure, but you understand what
I
the
think
test
all
is
this
at
in
the end of the day
totality
for all
would
of
show
us.
that Hasan Piker is anti-Semitic. Is there anything that I said that was wrong?
Wait,
Is there anything I just said that was wrong?
Okay, hold on. Slow down, North. Okay, I'm just trying to get you to see the big picture task here. Like the big
No,
picture.
hold on.
You could do,
Is there anything that I said
all
that was just wrong? I just want you to answer that.
Oh man.
in terms of like factually, like I'm not sure if you said anything factually incorrect. I'm just trying to get you to understand what the picture is and where you're going to apply those facts to convince Pisco. So the key point here is that you're going to want to.
Sorry, sometimes I talk about like the logic loading that comes from the Ask Yourself Discord server and stuff. Okay. First, to be fair, I don't actually know if it's like this anymore. Okay, I know that I don't know how long ago actually, because I have no sense of time. But like 5 years ago, all of the like most hardcore like vegan debate people kind of came out of there. Avi and Isaac themselves, I said this last time, are generally pretty good. I don't think I've ever, not generally pretty good. I think they're very good when it comes to like logic and not completely and totally missing the point on stuff. I feel like Pisco is like picked up a little bit, just enough to be insanely fucking annoying. And then yeah, that's why I bring that up. But generally speaking, I think Avi and Isaac are good at following conversations. Yeah.
You're going to want to make him have a credence that it's more the explanation for all of these things that all these observations that you're bringing to the table, whether it be the use of the term pig dog, or whether it be the use of, or whether it be an inconsistent standard toward the Jewish state, or whether it be any other sort of thing that a conspiracy that Hasan Piker may have peddled. You're going to want to present a case that the hypothesis that is most likely, that best is most expected, that expects these observations more so, is going to be that it's, at least in part, a bias against Jews explained because they're Jews. Not that some rival hypothesis is going to fully explain.
Can you give me perms so that when I get heated, I can say stuff?
Maybe I'll think about it. Sure. Just don't barge into
All right, thank you.
Be careful.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Rival hypothesis like, oh, he is biased against Israel. Or a rival hypothesis like, oh, he is biased against Zionists. Or a rival hypothesis that he is biased against settlers, or he is biased against like any of these things. Like all these other rival hypotheses, you want to make the case that all of these other potential rival hypotheses, they are not going to plausibly account for all of the observations we're seeing. They may account for some of them, they may account for partial of some of them, but they're not going to fully explain this without also having us commit ourselves to saying, well, they're also having us take on board the hypothesis that there's something about Jewish because they're Jews here. That's the goal. That's the big.
How do you explain then? Because this is also work. This can be applied to you as well. This is not just applied to me. How do you explain plausibly that Hasan Piker is? Let's see here now. He uses anti-Semitic slurs. He applies a extremely inconsistent standard.
Unless I missed it, I still don't think there was a consistent definition or a strong, positive definition given by. North yet, I think, for Avi to even contend with here.
With the one Jewish state that exists, when it comes to like synagogue shootings, him and his community are unusually supportive. He went to emo only mode, and all of his emotes were like hearts when he was reading out the shooter's manifesto. What is the plausible explanation for him to just be anti-Zionist and not like anti-Semitic?
Is that to me or to Pisco?
Both of you. I mean, you're
okay.
defending
Just to be clear,
Pisco,
just to be clear, I think Hasan is anti-Semitic. I don't know if you realize that, but I'm able to see. I'm able to see where you're floundering in the approach that would convince Pisco. So I'm trying to help you. So I can play devil's advocate. If you're asking me to play devil's advocate, I can do that. I can play
why can't Pisco respond to?
Wait, so what do you want me to respond to?
Okay.
So you said anti-Semitic slurs. What are the anti-Semitic slurs?
What is him calling Jews pig dogs, and then also saying
you said anti-Semitic slur
as well, which is also like
an anti-Semitic slur is evidence that would raise my credence. So what's the anti-Semitic slur that he uses?
It has to be kike. That's it. And nothing else will qualify. Nothing else will qualify. Guaranteed. No matter how. That is 100% what he's about to do.
Pig dog.
Okay, so what's the evidence that pig dog is an anti-Semitic slur?
It's just too much. It's too good, man.
I believe it is like if you look up anti-Semitic slurs, it is a slur used.
The only way he can possibly know that is if I'm sorry. My bad. If Dr. Abdul al-Sayed is on stage with Hasan when Hasan says it, and Abdul's grandmother is there with the dictionary confirming that it is indeed an anti-Semitic slur. And then a panel of 3 Jews, 3 Arabs, and 3 Christians, like our model Lebanese government, is there to sign off on it. Okay? I know they don't have 3. I know it's not 33% Jews.
Used in like Poland and Germany, specifically in like Nazi Germany. Like the Nazis would call the Jews pig dogs, and like their rhetoric.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Never heard it
So,
before.
I don't deny that Nazis may have used the term
Maybe.
pig dog. I understand the term. It also has uses in non-anti-Semitic context. That is,
What racial slur doesn't? What racial slur doesn't? That's part of the whole thing of racial slurs. What, like, my grandpa used to say Polak all the time, which I think is an Polish slur. I don't even know why he would have anti-Polish slurs. My grandma's in Vietnam. Why did people even fucking say that? But like, I didn't even know that was an anti-Polish slur until I was like fucking 29 years old. What is it's the definition. I don't even know what you would call it. This is crazy.
to say non-hateful against Jews context. And
what is the non-anti-Semitic context that someone uses pig dog for?
That it's a broader term that is used to denigrate people or insult people, not just in Jews.
What about the N-word? Can't you just call a non-black person the N-word, but is it okay as long as they're not black?
What's the evidence that it's exclusive to Jews?
What is an example
Jews?
outside of
no,
I'm
talking
about?
Oh, my God.
Because obviously suggested that to me,
Yeah,
and he's a well-read
I can
person.
answer, if you're asking, like, yeah, I can, like, if you're asking about the historical usage of the term, the Nazis used that term as an insult. It was certainly toward Jews, but not exclusively toward Jews. Like, it was a generic insult.
Got him. That's all he needs, baby.
Used heavily towards Jews.
He's out. He's out.
Okay, so when Hasan Piker is talking about quote unquote Zionists and he's calling them pig dogs, is there not like a connection we can make here?
Doesn't matter.
Like,
he's on.
This does not like increase the possibility of it being anti-Semitic.
Wait, is that to me or to Pisco?
Both.
Okay, so
I mean, you said you need to agree with me, so I don't know why you're the one that's like, no offense, but like I don't know why you're the one mostly talking. Like I don't know why Pisco's like checked out of this debate here when I'm here to talk to him. Like
because you're not doing a good job, and I'm trying to help you, and he's okay. Well, look, no, it's true though. I mean, look, it seems like Pisco could explain why, but it seems like I don't think you're actually meeting Pisco where he's at. I don't think you're understanding what he's saying. Because of that, it doesn't seem like you're going to eventually present the best arguments that are going to convince him. Now, when using the term pig dogs in combination when you're referring to Zionists, can we not infer that probably has an anti-Semitic meaning?
I'm not convinced of that.
Why?
Because it seems like, based on what I'm hearing, it's a generic insult that could be used in contexts that don't necessarily imply it. And so,
it's a pig. Are you saying, if anything, I kind of feel like North is the anti-Semitic one here. Are you implying that Jews are pigs or dogs more than any other race of people? Like, I mean, I'm just saying.
The mere fact that someone would...
But the context that it implies...
Doobie, in with the super chat. The French dude in Monty Python calls the Crusaders pig dogs.
Is anti-Zionism, which is like the destruction of the Jewish state.
It.
That's one. And then what is the example? When is the last time you've heard someone say pig dog at a context outside of that? Or when is the last time you've heard Hasan say the term pig dog outside of that?
No, someone somewhere, I vaguely recall that he used pig dog against non-Jews at a certain point in the past as to his specific thing. As to the history, I think it's your...
Has he? We went to search for this. Has Hasan ever used pig dog before in his entire life? If you go through his the film not or film route or whatever the fuck that website is.
Burden to share. Do you deny the fact that pig dog is...
If being an anti-Zionist is indistinguishable from being an anti-Semite, what is the point of separating the two? No. For these guys, there's no point at all. But like you can tell there are ways that you could do it. It's just very, very difficult right now. Here, I would argue that this conversation is a microcosm of what's happening in the Democratic Party. The easiest way, I would say, the easiest way that you can tell is how hard somebody tries to separate themselves from the implications they know are being given from the things that they say. So, like, I guess maybe this rings hollow with some people, because some of my audience still misses it, but, like, I feel like if you put me in a room to argue the Israel-Palestine thing, depending on who I'm talking to, you should never come away from that conversation thinking like Destiny legitimately fucking hates Arabs and hates Palestinians, okay? There are times in history I give the Jews their props. There are times in history where I give the Arabs their props. The beginning of the conflict, I think, legitimately, both sides could have fought to the death, and I think both were super fucking understandable. Every other country was getting their own country. Arabs got a little bit fucked out of Palestine with the Jews coming in. Also, the Jews were kind of being fucking exterminated from the planet, so I kind of understand their perspective too, right? I can get both sides. Neither of them are vitriolic or hateful, okay? I feel like I have a decent secular understanding. I'm not like religiously loading it. I'm not ethically loading one side or another. I do personally think that there are greater arguments for Israel remaining an ethnic Jewish protected state than being abolished as an ethnic Jewish state, mainly because I feel like Muslims and Arabs have like 65 other fucking states if they wanted to fucking go to them. But like, I think I could give the argument and be pretty anti-Zionist and pretty anti-Palestinian without like having this vitriolic feeling of fucking hatred. The big issue, though, is not only do you have this anti-Zionism, whatever the fuck, the fact that you're plugging this in to the number one part, the number one core tenet of like neo-Nazi or Nazi-adjacent ideologies, which is that Jews control everything, it makes it so ultra sus. You must know how ultra sus you are there. And for you to not know how ultra sus you are, it makes you seem even more sus. Right? It makes you seem even more sus. So
A generic insult. You didn't.
Okay,
I think
so
there are maybe people
after
have
this
used it as like
conversation,
a
went
non.
on a stream with Tom, and we talked about Hasan and him using pig dog. And when you search up on the Philmont, he has used pig dog in the past.
How many times for what?
And then I forget the exact context. I think he said like capitalist pig dog, but he's also referred to
the capitalists.
like Jewish
Okay.
politician.
Interesting.
What was
Okay.
it? I think he referred to like Netanyahu as a pig dog. But then apparently he quote unquote learned from one of his viewers that pig dog was an anti-Semitic term. And then apparently after that he said, actually no, it's fine. It's not an anti-Semitic term. So he's like doubled down on it after being called out on it.
There's literally
this will be
nothing
relevant
that
to, like,
you
the
would be
later
able to tell
conversation.
him that you would have to introduce new to him that he would buy as anti-Semitic. Also, by the way, that's just I would bet my fucking life on that. But yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah, that's all I gotta say.
What do you want, Sev?
I feel like there's one like glaring thing that a lot of these fucking Western leftists don't really point out is like the support for Hezbollah is pretty anti-Semitic.
That's just
like,
it's
the
dude.
only-
It's just fucking retarded. I don't even talk about it. The fact that the problem is nobody in the West knows anything about what any of these things are, and then people like Hassan will just say like Hezbollah is like the government of Lebanon.
But here,
and it's just
before,
like
before you
Sorry,
continue,
go ahead,
before
yeah,
you continue,
yeah, you're right.
the support for Hezbollah, in my opinion, why is it anti-Semitic is because the only positive thing that is looked at from Hezbollah in the Middle East is that they want to kill Jews or attack Israel.
Well,
That
and
is the
worked
only
as
positive-
and
'cause,
worked for Assad.
Remember, because remember, they fucking murdered a bunch of Syrians. Like, I think the estimate is like 100,000 Syrians.
Sure.
And like, so generally everyone looks at them outside of the scope from Israel is like pretty negative, very negative. And like a lot of people do think they're like an Iranian proxy even in the Middle East. So like the only positive thing they're okay with them being an Iranian proxies because they attack Israel. Like that's the only positive about them in the Middle East.
Yeah.
There's no other thing. Obviously the fucking Houthis are in a similar boat, but the Houthis,
Boat? I see what you
believe
did
it's
there.
like what?
Boat because they like attack boats and stuff in the similar boat. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I did not. That was not intentional, but that's fine. Thanks for the credit anyway. What's it called? The Houthis are in the same type of situation in that regard, but the difference is that they are looked as an oppressed group compared to the Hezbollah. They are looked at as an oppressed group by the Gulf nations. Because like Yemen has been fucked over repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly even before the Houthis really propped up.
Yeah.
That's the only difference between them, but they're pretty much the same fucking thing, except one's like not really doing that much, and one has been helping fucking Assad murder Syrians by the hundreds of thousands.
Okay.
And yeah, I feel like his support for these two organizations, if you are an honest person, is plenty enough.
Yeah, I guess, but nobody knows anything about anything over there, so it's like kind of hard to even bring any of it up. I do agree though. Like that's Yeah. I don't. What do you want to say? It's fucking retarded. Yeah. I agree.
Also, there was another thing that you said there that I
Good.
wanted to
What?
delve into.
Fight me.
That you said you're perfectly fine about Israel being like an ethnically Jewish state, or like
Sure.
staying an ethnically Jewish state. Would you say that despite the behavior from the current Israeli government? Because they are trying to take more land in the West Bank, like take over the West Bank without like including the people in it.
Without including like
The Palestinians that live on the land.
Yeah, I mean that's bad. What do you want me to say? It's not good.
I know it's bad.
Not
but
good.
Would you still support the statement you said? I know. Trust me, I'm not coming at you and be like,
Well,
hey,
the alternative would be
these people
here.
say you're
So this is the
anti-Semitic or
thing
whatever
that would
the
have to. It would be. This is a pretty big. It would be a pretty big movement. Like if I'm being honest, I'm not even sure if like even if I were to say that like the Gaza situation was a genocide, I don't know if it's enough to move me in this direction. But or it would move me a little. But like to abolish Israel as an ethnic majority state would mean abolishing the only Jewish state on the planet.
I understand. That's why I'm not in support of it.
My assumption would be the majority of the people there would probably leave that are Jewish, yeah. But yeah. But I mean, obviously the situation in the West Bank is obviously not good. One of the big criticisms I've given for Israel, the criticism I used to have for Arabs, or I say criticism, historically, I think Arabs, it took a while for them to kind of learn politics. I don't know why, it was because they were stuck under the Ottomans ruling or whatever, but I feel like in the first like few decades of Israel's existence, it took the Arabs a while for them to actually like, learn how politics worked.
The only reason Israel exists is because they were fucking hungry for their own nation.
Yeah, a little bit. For sure. But then I feel like Arabs have learned, at least to some extent, politics, and Israel is like trapped in decades ago where they're stuck in the primitive political mindset to where they have zero consideration for other groups of people. So Israel will conduct itself in a way that even in the short term might be beneficial to the Jewish people there, but they just seem to have no mind for not how will our enemies perceive us.
Not really, even
but,
if if you ask me, they're not like even behaving recently. I would say they're not even behaving in a way that is considered or beneficial to Jews.
Sure. I mean, like, you can argue that. I mean, I would argue that they think they are, at least, but they have no consideration for how do other Arabs view us, how do other allies view us, like what is the position of other countries with relation to us who are allies or friendly or neutral. Like they never have that consideration in mind, and I think it's one of the worst ways that they conduct themselves right now because it makes it very hard for anybody else on the planet to
defend them or even talk to them or befriend them.
Yeah. Not good.
Like recently, the news in the West Bank is fucking insane. Like there's a Christian village right now that's been cleared out, like a famous Christian village of Palestinians that's known for their beer. That's been cleared out because of settler attacks. Because the armies thought it was too unsafe for the Palestinians. So they cleared out the Palestinians and moved the settlers, but then they let the settlers move back in, and the Palestinians not to.
Well, that's not good.
And they've been pictured drinking tea and eating with the fucking settlers.
Not good. It's not good. Pretty stupid.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know, man. It's like here. What am I supposed to say? Like as a fucking Palestinian that lives here, what am I supposed to say to people who are like, hey, wait, like if this is getting to this extreme and it is fucking government backed, what are you like? The only thing I can hope for is like Israelis aren't stupid the next elections. If they are stupid at the next elections, I literally have no way to argue against the fucking insane leftists. I'll be
this is the big
fucking state.
Yeah, and this is the difficult thing that so I would only say this. I would never say this in front of the hard lefties or whatever. But like, there is a degree of truth. You know, I've said this before that if you're being attacked by a country who is ruled by a dictator, I have more sympathy for the soldiers of that country than I do for a country that's ruled by a democracy whose soldiers are attacking me. Because in the democratically elected country, their citizens are making more of a choice, you know, and I'll be fully honest. You know, I don't understand why every election has played out
to a certain extent.
Yeah, I don't know why every election has played out as it has. But Netanyahu's been in charge for like 20 of the last 30 years. It's like
26 years.
Yeah, at some point something's got to change here. You know what's going on?
Yeah.
And so if this next election season comes around where I feel like I've heard this in the past. Like, oh, Netanyahu. Well, I guess there have been times where Netanyahu hasn't been the prime minister, because you had Olmert and others. Yeah, I mean it's happened. But if he somehow manages to hold the coalition together again and still emerges as the prime minister again after this next set of elections,
that's the point I wanted to fight you on. Like I would be like understanding of how like oh, it's a democracy and whatnot. But remember, there is a lot of fucking instances where people are just voting for the group that represents their interest,
Sure.
because it's not the same as Democrats and Republicans in the U.S. They would vote for the party that represents their interest, and then the parties later form the government, and it's up to the elected officials to select. That's how fucking Ben-Gvir and Smotrich got picked, even though they've never been in a government before. Is that no one else wanted to form a government with Netanyahu?
Sure.
They fucked him over. Like they
they
are
fucked who
like pushing
over?
him in. Fucked Netanyahu over.
Well,
They,
no, but I mean, like, he's choosing. This is how he forms his coalition. I agree. I agree.
Choices.
Yeah, I agree with the argument that like Netanyahu is not as far right as a lot of people think he is, but this is the deal that he's made in
He's
order
still
to
far
maintain.
right in terms, he's okay. In my opinion, he's far right, but he's like fucking like under the table far right. He doesn't like
Sure.
fucking portray that.
Smotrich and
belief
Gvir or whatever would like happily like the statements about like what it was it Ben-Gvir who said the like every Lebanese mother needs to cry for their dead
For
children.
every Israeli mother's tears, 1,000 Lebanese mothers.
Yeah, and there's only so much. Like this will be the same shit I'll say with MAGA. Like there's only so many times I can buy the whole like, well, you know, I had to do this for this sake, and it's like, okay, I get that, but I mean, like, you know, I said the same thing like 2 years ago. If October 7th would have happened like against West Bank settlements, the amount of sympathy that I have would be like severely decreased for Israel, like
in
severely
opinion,
decreased. Like it's one of those things where it's like you know, I don't think it's good, but I'm not gonna. I don't know how much I could condemn it. Like,
my
damn,
question for you,
you know?
hypothetical question: do you think Israel would have acted the same way they did in Gaza if it was against West Bank settlements?
Oh, I don't know how popular.
I am almost 100% sure they would have.
I think it would have been a million times worse because regardless of what people say, I don't think they really want to clear out Gaza. They have beaches. They don't give a fuck about Gaza. But the opportunity to clear out the West Bank, whoo, boot. Who was that one guy? Fuck, what, is it Fleischer or whatever? Dude, there'd be a million of him. You would see a million American Jews or whatever, or whoever they managed to recruit, those settlements would expand they would be new Israel in like 2 weeks of fighting, okay? It wouldn't have been this like 7 years of clearing out Hamas over and over and over again for Gaza. Israel would have been like, all right, let's fucking go. It would be done in like 2 weeks.
And also, it would. I feel like a mass exodus would be possible because Jordan has done that before.
True.
Has allowed for mass exodus of Palestinians.
Egypt and the majority of the Palestinian population lives in Jordan, and Jordan is majority Palestinian already. So they would be way more.
I think it's a plurality. I think it's like around 50 to like 55%. It's a little bit, it's around there. It's almost majority.
Yeah, and more so than Egypt for sure. Yeah, but I mean that who knows the future
Well, Egypt,
issues,
there's
but...
no Palestinians. There's like I don't know.
No, I mean they'd be more willing to take them than Egypt would be for sure.
Yeah, of course, because there's Palestinians that might push for it as well.
Sure.
Well, that's about it. Enjoy.
Crazy world.
And also, Antisemitic, fucking Pisco's. I've never had the displeasure of speaking to him, and I don't know if Loner has. I don't recall. But why is he like this? Is this just like how lawyers speak?
No! I hate it when people say that. It's such a misconception. People keep saying, oh, lawyer brain. No, you have to understand, like, nuance and arguments and all this stuff. This is like TV lawyer brain, where, like, you walk in and you sign a contract with your boss and you were like, oh, well, actually, I digitally signed that from Japan and it was 2 hours before the signing agreement date. So I actually get out of this entire contract and now I get to take your $5 billion business. No, you have to understand like nuance and arguments and whatever. When you're a lawyer, especially, you have to. If for no other reason, because you have to translate it for the fucking retards that pay you money, for the clients that you have who are worse than anything else you have to deal with in court. So no, this is politics brain. Autistic politics
just
brain.
Like his politics. Okay, fair enough. I don't know.
Sometimes people get dug in, and what are you gonna do? Yeah. All right.
Yeah. See you.
I love you. Be careful.
Anti-Semitic insult in the same way that maybe someone used like the hard R N-word, not against black people, but like it's still a slur and it's overwhelmingly associated with like the anti-Semitism of it.
Yeah. So there's a heavy connotation that it's a racial slur, but it's
wouldn't it be a denotation at that point? Connotation that the N-word is a racial slur? That's like, as Pisco would love to say, overdetermined. Now, what do we mean by we say connotation there? I feel like connotation is similar to like implication. It's like heavily implied. Like the connotation of this is like but this would be like the actual given definition now.
It sounds like you weren't convinced of that with pig dog.
There is a heavy connotation with pig dog.
I'm not convinced of that. Provide the evidence for that.
Give me the link every use of it.
When Hasan Piker uses it, it is in context with the destruction of the Jewish state. Like this is not used against.
So if he said American pig dog,
he's not referring to.
If he said American,
Hasan Piker is not
shut the fuck
referring
up.
to.
Shut the
like,
fuck up.
Turks.
I'm losing it. So if he said
Jesus.
American pig dog, would you say he's anti-American for saying that, not for other reasons?
If he said American pig dog, what was the context of him saying that?
The only context you gave me was Zionist pig dog. So now I'm giving you American. If Hasan said American pig dog,
I'm pretty sure if he said like American pig dog, it was in the context of an American supporting. Like,
I'm not saying that he said it. I don't even know if he said that. I'm asking whether if he did say that, right? You just gave me Zionist pig
dog.
dog,
He
right?
said that. Yes.
I'm not sure that he said that. It's not important. I'm asking if, right? It's a conditional.
I'm saying I think he has said that, so I'm agreeing with you, or I'm agreeing with your premise.
No, Pisco's saying if he said that.
I can't.
But I mean, like, North is not understanding, but Pisco's not doing himself any favors. Pisco's also like making this very, very, very difficult to understand.
I'm sorry. You asked me a question. I engage with your question, and then you say I can't. What?
I'm
So
defeated.
it sounds like Pisco is saying, North, that.
Why do I need a Pisco translator here?
Okay, well, you can say that, but it actually seems to be the only thing working. So
True.
Well,
sorry.
it feels like Pisco can't contend with what I'm saying, and then he's just relying on you for like his arguments because he just can't contend with me. So.
Oh, so you're saying I'm not trying. Okay, well, that's a different accusation.
Well, I'm not saying that you're necessarily like not trying to like do the thing, but like I'm here to like contend with Pisco. And
you don't think
Pisco
Avi's trying to
throwing
help
up
you
his
to?
arms.
So you understand that Avi is going to be making a case against Hasan as well. And
You asked a question, and you asked, has Hasan or like has the term American pig dog ever been said before, or has Hasan ever said like the term?
No,
like,
I
American
fucking
pig dog?
didn't, and you're not listening.
Say the term
you're not.
American pig dog, and I said yes.
No, I
Avi, can you repeat what I said?
say that,
I'm sure
damn
Avi
it.
remembers it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds so. North, Pisco is not convinced that the term pig dog.
No. What is Pisco's question? Say it verbatim.
No,
Is Avi gonna know?
No, I don't remember.
I'm not even sure. Yeah.
Okay, so then he doesn't know. What
I
you're
said
talking about.
if.
No, I don't.
I said
Oh,
if
no,
Hasan
Pisco's
used
triggered.
the term American pig dog, if would you consider that?
Oh,
to
that
be,
question.
Yeah,
Okay.
that question.
Yeah, then
I
okay.
consider it to be.
Would
I
it
would
be
consider it to be anti-Semitic. Yes, it is an anti-Semitic usage of that. Yes.
Okay,
American?
okay, well then it sounds like. Well, then it sounds like.
Like
you have a different-
when he talks about American pig dog, I'm pretty sure like I know he has said. In fact, I'm pretty sure I remember him saying this term before, and he said it before in the context of like referring to Americans like who support the nation state of Israel.
Pretty sure.
Okay, so I think
Absolutely sure.
Maybe Pisco wants to ask if he referred it to Americans who like just in a neutral, with respect to Israel context.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, like if it's just like a random Joe, and he just he's arguing over some other issue.
Sure, someone can say American pig dog, but the problem is it's not being used in that way. In the same way, someone could say like
You're fighting the
hard R
hypothetical.
word in like a non.
But he's just asking.
I am fighting the hype. I'm fighting the premise. It's not a hypothetical. I'm fighting the premise. I'm saying like yes, it could exist, but it's so implausible that it doesn't even matter to the discussion.
He's just asking what you would take away if you found Hasan doing that. So let's say you find Hasan saying, okay, he's using
If
that
I
slur.
heard Hasan saying American pig dog, I would assume that he's being anti-Semitic. Yes.
No. If you knew the context had nothing to do with Jews or
man.
Zionism.
Then hold on. Are we talking? Because there's a difference in something here. Are we saying like with the totality of his other statements, or just taking this as like
In
person
isolation.
X who happens to be named Hasan Piker who says American pig dog, or are we saying like if Hasan Piker said American pig dog?
If I said
would
American
assume that,
pig dog,
like, tomorrow?
if I said American pig dog, would you assume I'm being anti-Semitic?
No.
What?
But if Hasan Piker said it, yes, with the context of everything else that he said. That
Okay,
is why
put aside
I'm
the
having
context.
contention over this.
So in isolation, so it sounds like pig dog by itself isn't inherently anti-Semitic.
Again, okay, sorry. I know I've harped on this point a million times. Hopefully, with the anti-Semitism stuff, we're done with soon because who cares about the Jews? It's just not how racism works or any form of bigotry works. That it's just like, like just the concept like in isolation is this racist or bigoted. Like, I don't even know if you can be racist or bigoted in isolation, because that like is almost at its definitionally like a very macro societal level thing. I don't even know what that would look like.
Well, in isolation, like if someone said the N word in isolation,
I would assume that it's racial.
Well, no. Yeah, no, it depends on how much of a debate pervert you want to be here, but like that's not true. Like, what if you're reading Tom Sawyer or whatever the fuck? I don't know what the fuck. What are the books you read with the N-word? What if you're like reading something like that in class? Does that make you racist? Or what if you were reading a dictionary? Like, not technically, right?
Racist, but like if I'm reading Huckleberry Finn and I'm saying like the N-word,
I would assume it's a racial connotation.
Ooh. Man, look, I got some banger kick chatters. That's a really good point by Corgi Dog. Somebody should ask, do you think that white lives matter is racist? Because how the fuck can you possibly get there with the insanely narrow reading that Pisco is giving on like all things racial, right? White lives matter must certainly not be in any way, size, shape, or form racist, right?
Automatically
Yes.
it's like not racist. Yes, but I'm assuming there's a racial connotation with Hasan Piker because of like the previous context added.
So
the same way that you could do
if
it with,
I
like,
said Zionist
someone
pig
said,
dog,
like,
if I said
the
Zionist pig dog, do you assume it's anti-Semitic?
Yes. That's a
yes.
That's a pretty big one, right?
Okay. I'm not convinced that this word
What about like Islamic? Like I'm trying to think. They should have named it like instead of Israel, they should have just called it like Jewland or something. And then they wouldn't have had to, they wouldn't be a separate word. Because like, here's like another issue. Islam denotes like forms of government. Islam calls for like government to be intertwined with the religion, right? The government emerges literally from the image. There's like some from the religion. There's like a structure, I think, like either connotated, like all the caliphates and everything, like were Islamic theocracies in ways that you could never have like a Christian country, or I'm sorry, a Catholic country. I can't speak to Christians because fucking Protestants are on some wacky wild shit. So I don't know how. I feel like any big criticism, like if I were to use a word like that, like, oh, you're like an Islamic dog, I feel like that would always be considered Islamophobic by people like Pisco.
Always.
Or Hasan or anybody else. I'd be like, oh, these guys are Islamic pigs. Like I think you'd be hit so quick with the Islamophobia meme.
And pig is also not halal and not kosher, and it's just kind of an extra dig. But I was gonna say to your point about why don't they just call it Jewland? I mean, they did, right? Judea and Samaria used to be the West Bank, is not,
True.
Judea and Samaria was the West Bank, and Israel is after the 12 tribes of Israel, after, Judah, after there was that big split historically, remember, between the tribes. So, I mean, the name has a historical merit that goes back to the people who lived there.
Yeah, true.
And Jews are literally from Judea, like indigenous too. That's where they come from. So I don't know. It's strange when people try to contend with that.
Yep, I agree.
Anyway, thanks.
It's a historical. It is a historical anti-Semitic term being tied to people who support the existence of like the state of Israel.
But here's a better way. I don't think this is the best evidence, but if you really want to make the case, there's a better way of doing it with the pig dog term. You can say, okay, we can grant. Look, the Steelman way of doing this is to say, look, we can grant that the term pig dog historically was a generic insult by Germans. That's true. It wasn't unique to Jews. However,
I think the term is even used like today. It's like not as.
Okay, I'm gonna get there. So however, over time, one second. However, over time, because it was so heavily used toward Jews, even though it wasn't a specific to Jew insult historically, because Jews do take that with them, and because it is associated with that sort of thing, even though it's not really fully a unique to Jew thing. There's a little bit of an ergo up there, especially if someone is making an insult to a Jewish Zionist or whatever, and they specifically go for the German insults. Like, why are they doing that? Like, why? What accounts for that? Your ear should go up a little bit there. Is that the strongest evidence? No, there's a lot of plausible hypotheses that could charitably counter that. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe Hasan Piker actually thinks it's just like there's nothing really there that's unique to Jews. Maybe he's not aware of it. But if you're gonna fully advance it, you want to put the extra Steelman on it. You don't want to just say okay, well, he said pig dog. You want to say okay, even though historically it might not be unique to Jews, because now it's recognized, that word has continued over time, and because now it's recognized.
I mean, historically, it has been recognized as like an anti-Semitic slur. Like
no, not unique.
And today, it is used by anti-Semites.
So that's a better case. You could say okay. First of all, historically, it was a generic insult by Germans. It was used against Jews for sure, but it was a generic insult. Now you can say, okay, even though that's true, because it was incidentally used by Nazis against Jews, that has been co-opted that insult has been co-opted by actual anti-Semites.
Yeah, that's what
And that is
Let's
the
see,
thing
though.
that they use.
What's
and
the
now
case
Hasan
for
is
that?
using that. Right. That would be a better case. You'd want some evidence for it for sure. But yes, that's a better.
Hold on. I feel like if you were to accept this premise, you would have to accept the idea of like the N-word not being the non-racist. We'll call it the non-discriminatory against Black people N-word. You have to accept that is like.
Why am I committed to
it does
that?
like exist.
Why would I be committed to that?
I don't think there's an obvious analogy with the N-word. The N-word historically it was unique to Black people. It was clearly targeted toward Black people. There was no widespread use of the N-word toward white people.
Do you think that people have used like the N-word in the context of like against like not Black people? They've used it
Yeah,
against
they've
like, other
said
white people.
white N-word. That's not the
Or
point.
they've used it against like maybe like Mexicans or some sort of like Latino Americans or something like that.
I'm sure they have. I'm sure it have, but that's not what that doesn't undermine what I just said.
The usage of a slur being used not against like the group that it was like originally against does not inherently mean that like the slur is now considered like not anti-Black.
Yeah, sure. That's why. Okay, good. Yes, I agree.
In the same way that it just because there might have been usages of pig dog
Okay. Do they get any
against like let's say
further
Poles,
in this conversation, or is this just Avi trying to
Nazis during like the 40s does not inherently mean that it wasn't an
translate for Pisco
anti-Semitic
here?
slur, nor is it not an anti-Semitic slur today.
Yeah. No, so that I agree with. And when I'm looking at and I do prioritize the current meaning of the word now, then
we agree that it's an anti-Semitic slur.
Although our words today are still somewhat informed historically, yes, I do prioritize.
Pisco, do you agree that it's an anti-Semitic slur?
Today, I'm not convinced of that.
Yeah, so you'd want to. So my understanding.
Okay, I also think, listen to me, okay, as I say this too, okay? I'm going to be not humble for a minute, okay? I'm sorry, all right? A lot of people in DGG have thoughts about who's smart and who's not smart. I am the ultimate arbiter of who's intelligent and who's not, okay? Most people will tell you that a person is or isn't smart based upon whether or not they agree with the things that they think, okay? So keep that in mind, all right? Pisco, Josiah, for whatever you want to say about these people, okay? They're not stupid, all right? They are not stupid. So sometimes you'll hear me kind of like tearing apart these arguments on stream, and even for me, it is easier to shred these arguments on stream than it would be for me to do it like on the fly. That's why sometimes when I'm listening to these, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I would have caught this. I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to be humble. It's because it can be really hard to catch things like during an active conversation. It's much harder. Whereas if you're just listening, there's so much less investment. Like I'm sitting here just kind of like listening as both arguments are given. I don't really have to think about what I'm thinking of next. I don't have to like there's so many different considerations when you're having the conversation versus not. All that to say that to have these types of conversations and to like do well takes considerable practice. So, you know, it's good. This is why those like debate panel spaces and everything were nice. Having arguments with other people and being able to flesh your points on everything is like super, super helpful. It's going to be very, very, very challenging, regardless of how stupid some of these arguments are. It's going to be very challenging to hop into a conversation with somebody like Pisco and just be able to like steamroll him. That's probably never going to happen. He's at the very least I don't know if verbal IQ is a real thing, but he can navigate a conversation better than that. Yeah.
There's a little bit of the way I would describe the word pig dog is I don't think it's anti-Semitic against Jews in the same way that the N-word is anti-Black. However,
correct, but it would raise the fuck out of an eyebrow. Yeah,
I think there is a bit of a little edge on it. How to say, and I don't have data on that. I haven't looked into the data on like.
But we not consider like even if it's like a like even if we're talking about culturally, we don't consider like the slur to be as bad. The mere fact that we are agreeing that it is an anti-Semitic slur.
No
that
one
Hasan
has.
is using.
Wait, what was agreed that?
Apparently, Pisco, you refused to engage in the conversation. It just made it obvious.
Like if you want to take a step back, the actual argument that I would say, and Avi knows this. Avi is very not autistic as well. Even though I feel like everything on paper, Avi seems like he'd be very autistic, but he's not. He seems pretty socially aware from everything I've ever seen of him. At least in America, I'll say this is probably true for Europe as well. Probably anytime you're combining a nationality, a religion, or a race with an animal, you're probably always in really sus territory. Automatically, you're like almost instantly, you're probably going to be in highly sus territory. So like I would be super careful with how you're proceeding. Like you better make sure they check off a couple other majority group boxes. Like they better be white. They better not be a religious minority. It better be like, because it's just like, so yeah, you're just in such a weird, I don't know. Like I feel like you could just make up random shit and it would almost sound like racial slurs because it's like, what do you mean by that? Wait, what do you mean? When you say like, I don't know, what's a weird animal? Those Romanian voles, the Hungarian prairie dogs. I don't know. Just you're already like in very weird territory. So like when you know for Jews that that's already like a weird area, and then you're throwing on like pig, dog. You're hitting them with the double animal too. It's like you should probably just.
Can I
like,
add something about
chill.
the pig dog comment real quick?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know how deep Hassan is into like Islamic theology and whatnot, but one of the stories in the Quran talks about a certain group of Jews that disobeyed God and like worked on Shabbat or whatever, and
Yikes.
he has turned them into pigs and monkeys because of their so I don't know if it stems from that. I'm pretty sure pig dog just stems from like the fucking German source, but that is also a thing where there is like really extremist Muslims that would call Jews pigs because of like Islamic theology in that story.
Sure. Yeah, and then
So,
you've got your whole.
I've seen a Bengal, I've seen a Pakistani guy, and several people on TikTok like specifically call Jews pigs and monkeys for that specific reason. So I don't know if how deep Hassan is into Islamic theology. Probably not very much. So maybe there's some source in there.
Well, thank you for the added info. True.
I've been listening this entire
I don't know
time.
what's going on here.
Okay,
so then are you going to like actually engage with the conversation?
I've been listening this entire time. You've been floundering. No one here has conceded.
I don't know if you've been listening the entire time.
I have been. I've been following the whole time. No one here, and more than you apparently, because no one here has conceded that it's an anti-Semitic slur. At least not in the way that the N-word is an anti-black slur.
Yeah, it might be something that it's a much more like dilute form of an anti-Semitic slur at this point. There's a possibility for that. I have to look into it further. But let's just say that it is. Let's say that this is like, it was historically a non-specific to Jews, but now because of the history, because it's been co-opted by anti-Semites to some degree, it has some sort of a more specificity towards Jews there. Let's say that's the case. You'd also so that might be a weak form of evidence, but you'd really want to look at the other countervailing hypotheses that are present, and you'd want to exclude them. You'd want to say, okay, does Hasan actually know about that? Does he know that there's if that's true? So number one, you'd want data to show that it's true.
Hold on. Do you think
stop
Hasan,
arguing with
knows
Avi.
more than the
He
average
doesn't
person
disagree
about,
with you. He's just laying out the argument.
No, but that's the point. If he doesn't know it, well, that's the point. If he doesn't know, you'd want to show it.
Wait, Pisco, do you think
this argument happened yesterday or the day before also? Yeah, so I'm not actually screaming at him in case you think he's
I
gonna.
take the bait?
Oh shit! Sorry. Yeah, I know. Just gotta take a deep breath.
That Hasan is retarded and he doesn't know the context of the term pig dog.
I don't have a clue whether he knows that. I have no clue whether he knows that. That's your case to make.
You want to show that he knows it. That's the point. You want to show that he knows that. Wait, but this is what you'd want him to do for your case. You'd want to show that he's at least somewhat aware that the slur has an anti-Semitic flair to it, and to show that he's doing it anyway. And ideally, for your case, to show that he disproportionately, or even better yet, exclusively uses it towards Jews.
Can we make an assumption that like Hasan probably knows more than the average person about like Israel Palestine?
Oh man,
no, I think he's a fucking retard on Israel Palestine. What do you mean? Like,
so do you think that like because he's a retard at Israel Palestine, he doesn't know like the historical context of like the term pig dog?
That doesn't follow.
Wait, that doesn't. No, I don't think so. But that's not. No, I don't think that. I wouldn't say that conditional is true. I don't think it follows. But where do I'm at the same place. Like I don't know if Hasan Piker knows to what degree the term pig dog is co-opted by anti-Semites.
And to be clear, Avi doesn't know. You don't have the evidence yet. You don't even have the data right now.
Yeah, I don't even know to what degree it has. Like I'm saying, I wouldn't be surprised. Like if I looked into it and I found out, okay, well, even though historically it was like this generic slur, today it's been like over time it's been more so co-opted.
I had an argument with my buddy about something you said. Do you unironically think Jewish people should vote Republican because left is so anti-Semitic and cucked about Israel v. Palestine? No, I don't think the average Democrat like fucking hates the average Israeli, like some of the crazy lefties want to present it as. But that's a weird question because like the Republican Party will be more will be more generous towards Israel, but I don't believe that that's in Israel's long-term interest. But right now, Israel doesn't believe that the left is in its long-term interest because they clearly prefer Trump at the helm. So I don't know. It gets kind of weird. Like when you ask me a question like that, like I'm concerned about my country. And then obviously I'm concerned about America. I'm concerned about America's interests. And then I'm concerned about the interests of the realm. Okay. But not like per se, like just another country absent America's interests and then absent some, broad worldly argument. So if somebody's asking me like, well, should I vote for this party because I think that they would help my country more. I mean, I guess you could, but that's not going to be convincing to me because obviously I'm not an Israeli citizen yet.
Did by anti-Semites.
Well, facts and evidence, North.
And then he throws that. Oh, sorry.
I found out, if I looked into it, and I found out, okay, well, even though historically it was like this generic slur, today it's been like over time, it's been more so co-opted by anti-Semites.
Well, facts and evidence, North.
Yeah, I'm open to being convinced that that's.
I am too, by the way.
Pisco,
It sounds anti-Semitic.
Pisco, you got cut off. What did you say?
Pig Dog, to me, like, I want to believe it's anti-Semitic because it's like, I don't know, it kind of feels it, but that's just my vibe, but I don't really know. I'm not going to vibe my way to it and assume it is.
Well, here would be the strategy if you want to, if this is really the piece of evidence you want to use to convince Pisco. Like
if I were to look up, hold on, I'm in my car right now. Okay.
No, this is something you do later. I'm not going to accept evidence right now. No, I don't want to do this. No, stop with this. This is like not while you're driving. Not while you're
hold on, I want to have a part 2 on this.
Would Pisco argue this aggressively that MAGA isn't a racist movement? Well, no, but these guys hate MAGA, right?
Sure, you can. I mean, if you want to join after, I don't know, Avi, how much time you want to dedicate to the.
Avi's argument necessitates that one provides proof that an old white guy from Texas calling black people thugs is aware of the term. No, stop! Stop confusing Avi trying to elucidate Pisco's points here or make these two people communicate with each other with him being retarded or autistic. Avi would not make the same statement. He's just explaining Pisco's. He's serving as the translator here, okay?
So my guess is you dedicate many hours.
Like if we were to look up, what
my guess is Avi likes what we're doing right now. He's enjoying this.
Is it anti-Semitic? Hold on. What sources would you accept for it to be like an anti-Semitic slur?
I don't know. Some
would you need to do
some analysis from some group that says that this is like something they hear and they're
That wouldn't be enough though. This is a fool's errand because Pisco's going to say you need an analysis from a group that shows that it's always anti-Semitic when used. That would he even accept. That it has a history of anti-Semitic usage. Then he would need to know that Hasan is this is all the elements. And if Pisco's listening, he would even agree to this. You would need the analysis from the group or some commonly accepted usage of it. So in some popular form of media or whatever. Then you would need Hasan to have an awareness of the group. And then you would need to demonstrate that when Hasan was using the word with the awareness that it can be used anti-Semitically, that there's not a clear and compelling alternative explanation for why he used that word. So like, there's so many hurdles that you would have to clear here that this is like, Pisco is treating the accusation of racism like a criminal conviction that you need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt in the court of law. Okay, if you wanted to make any comparison to legal shit, that's what Pisco is doing. We do not ever do this with any type of thing when we're talking about bigotry. We would never, ever do this. But this is how Pisco is treating this, and it's absurd.
Interviews with former anti-Semites or some like testimonial evidence.
You start seeing it
like interviews with former anti-Semites. Like, yeah, we all got together and we would think up the slur of the week for Jews.
Towards Jews. Like if you start seeing it like in like Merriam-Webster, they say this is a term for like just so you know, like this is a term like derogatorily at Jews.
Prominent anti-Semites that use it, like Fuentes and others. Maybe that would increase it, shit like that.
Guarantee that I can probably find Fuentes saying.
You asked what
if I were to like bring this.
Oh my God. I'm gonna kill North.
You asked him what would convince him. He's just giving you examples of what would convince him.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm saying if I were to like do things like find definitions online and define like let's say
Minecraft,
organizations that are against racism, and they were to define it, and I was to find like Nick Fuentes clips of him talking about it, and
this is the kind of thing you want to produce to me. I'm not just going to assume it's an anti-Semitic slur.
And if I were to produce all of that,
why did you scoff at that, North? What should I assume it's anti-Semitic?
It's your stubbornness.
Answer my question. So I'm going to appeal to Avi once more, who is the biggest Hasan.
These are exhausting conversations, and I'm not even Jewish. Daily reminder, I need to have a It's Nice to Be White song. I felt this a lot when we were going over all the black cultural issues, how wonderful it was to be white and not have to worry about literally any fucking thing related to race or identity, and a man too on top of that. I can't imagine having arguments like this every single fucking day of your life over some ethnic minority thing you are, or being a woman or any other bullshit. Fuck that shit. Fuck that.
On hater, probably more than you. Am I stubborn right now? Do you find me answer my question? So I'm going to appeal to Avi once more, who is the biggest Hasan hater, probably more than you. Am I stubborn right now? Do you find me being stubborn?
No, you're not being stubborn. You're asked what.
I think you were being incredibly stubborn. Yes.
No, you asked him for a goalpost. He gave you examples. He was searching for examples of goalposts he would accept, so he did that.
Yes, and then I asked him about the Nick Fuentes thing, and then he started saying that he wants to kill me. So I don't know.
It was
flying into like a blind rage when I'm trying to engage with you.
He said no. He that's one example. He would say yes. Then you said, "Oh, I guarantee you, I could find that." Well, if you guarantee him you could find that, then all the better. Then you'd just be meeting his goalpost.
Sure.
all.
Yeah. Okay. So we accept this premise that let's for the sake of argument say that we accept this premise. I provide the evidence later.
He's a lawyer. Why doesn't he view this stuff through a strict scrutiny lens? Well, it's not like the state is creating a law or something. So, but I mean, yeah. There are ways to analyze these things that would fully be things that would be within the realm of law. That's why I don't like it when people are like, oh, it's because he's a lawyer. They're like, no, like lawyers, the laws we have in the United States have tons of ways of understanding racism and all of the intricate ways that it connects to people in society and how it impacts them. Like the law is not it's the exact opposite. The law is like, oh, this law says no black people shall be affected by virtue of their skin color. And now we are banning every single person who can't I don't know, certain types of names or whatever the fuck else. Like that's like we don't even do legal analysis at a level this retarded. Yeah. Well, except for the Supreme Court sometimes when Alito and Thomas are there writing.
You accept the premise that pig dog is an anti-Semitic slur. Would then
you want to show that Hasan knows
using that slur.
Yeah, that's just step one. That's just step one.
See, yeah, that's just step one, because now Hasan's got to show an awareness of the definition. He's got to agree with it. Then when he uses the term, it can't be for any other purpose. It has to be that he's like clearly trying to represent some kind of like bigoted intent. This threshold would just never be met anywhere.
Right? Why are you scoffing?
See,
why are you scoffing?
It is. You heard it.
It
Needs to be intentional. He said it. I heard it.
By the way, you're laughing, but when I present my evidence, I'm going to present every one of these elements.
100% he will, and it's easy
I
to do that.
every
Super
easy.
easy.
Evidence that Hasan Piker knows explicitly. Like I don't have the explicit clip. I don't have the explicit clip of Hasan Piker talking about the term pig dog. I'm sure I could probably find.
I don't know if this is true.
If I were to
I don't know if it's true for North, but someone just said it. I don't know if it's true. In Shrek 2, Puss in Boots yells, "You capitalist pig dogs!" at the royal guards just before they are all tackled and arrested. And I want that to be included in Avi's analysis when we do it. I have to go in like 15 minutes. Just heads up.
Just to be clear,
I know you're not going to focus on that. Yeah, I know.
No. That's not part of.
Wait, hold on. If Hasan Piker is using this term only let's say overwhelmingly in the context of referring to Israel, would we not consider this to be anti-Semitic?
That's your point to make. Why are you trying to get around your fucking burden? Not necessarily.
What do you know my point to make? Like, if you accept it, why?
Because I'm not going to assume it. Show it.
I'm asking
why are you
hypothetical,
scoffing?
Pisco.
Wait, what's the hypo? I missed it.
Why can't you again?
What's the hypo? What's the hypo? What's the hypo?
I gave the hypo. What was I don't know.
Say it again then. Say it again then. I must have missed it.
Because you weren't listening. Okay, I'm going to do the exact same thing to you that you've been doing to me. Yes, you must have missed it. If Hasan Piker is overwhelmingly using the term pig dog in the context of the state of Israel, which is a Jewish majority state,
and
it is a state explicitly for the Jews, would you consider that anti-Semitic?
No, because you have to I did hear because you have to show both at least two elements, right? That it is in fact an anti-Semitic slur, at least some credence on that, and that he's aware of it.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Assuming
and how could you what would that even look like? So I need to be you have to have a stream where Hasan is reading anti-Semitic insults, or because also keep in mind, and I don't know if they'll get this far, but Pisco would also add this qualifier. Somebody in chat bringing it up wouldn't be enough, because what if somebody in chat brought it up? They were like, "Hey, Hasan, you know this is anti-Semitic, right?" And Hasan goes, "I don't even believe you." Well, Hasan might have seen that, but he didn't believe the person who brought it up, and he has no reason to, because the chat can be full of trolls, right? You'll never clear these hurdles. You'll never ever clear these hurdles. This is why we don't talk about any type of mental state like this.
Those two things are true. Would it then be true? That it is an anti-Semitic usage?
Some evidence. Then you would be some evidence. It would move his needle. It would move his credence needle. He'd be like,
okay, hold on. I'm not trying to move his needle. I'm trying to get him to get a yes or no thing. If all this just moves the needle but doesn't change his overall opinion, then all this is just for naught.
It's not the big. It's not. I'm not going to call it. Even if it's an anti-Semitic.
Wait, real quick. The freshness has nothing to do with how long it takes to use the pack for research, right? That's just whether it spoils.
Slur, and even if Hasan is aware a little bit of it, to me, that would. I'm going to be honest with you, right?
Oh shit! It wouldn't even move the needle, maybe.
Some evidence. It would move his needle. It would move his credence needle. He'd be like,
wait.
I'm not trying to move his needle. I'm trying to get him to get a yes or no thing. If all this just moves the needle but doesn't change his overall opinion, then all this is just for naught.
It's not the big. It's not. I'm not going to call it. Even if it's an anti-Semitic slur, and even if Hasan is aware a little bit of it, to me, that would. I'm going to be.
I can pre-watch. I can pre-watch every single argument on the internet if we made TV shows of the online debate sphere, I could write the script for all sides. Okay, I know all of them.
Honest with you, right?
Jose Hasan was specifically knew that, like, yes, I know this is
Yeah.
anti-Semitic slur. And
And then sorry, I have to go one step further. The reason why this is dumb is because he's prescribing a set of mental conditions that at this threshold, there are so many things that we would obviously consider and we would feel are racist that would no longer be, because you're just never going to get this level of divulgence from a person's mind. I said this because I hate black people. I said this because I think all black people are evil. I hate this group of people, and that's why I make these comments. You're just never going to get this type of information from a person. You never. But we ascertain people's... Keep in mind also, now I don't want to say from this group of people, because I don't believe that Pisco or just any of these guys have ever been like woke scolds. I don't think they have been. I sincerely don't think they ever have been. But from the same political faction, broadly speaking, the left, of which I'm a part of, right? Remember, people used to spend all day going through photos just looking for the OK symbol. And if you made that was enough to call you a card-carrying Nazi, okay? That's where we were at in the discourse several years ago.
Yeah. I'll explain why.
Would you change it?
All that to say, it doesn't feel as genuine now that the testing for anti-Zionism being anti-Semitism is that the thresholds are so high.
Yes, I know this is an anti-Semitic slur. And
I'll explain why.
Would you change it?
I'll explain why, right? So it definitely does move my credence. I just granted that to you. But I don't take just slur usage by itself.
Oh, yeah. People miss this whole this whole fucking arc. This is a minor fight that I think me and Hasan got into because I don't think we'd broken up yet, and I don't think it weighed significantly on our friendship. But there is the back when like Pepe the Frog and everything was getting crazy and was turning racist and all this. We have a chatter now, Emia, who's reintegrated herself into the community until she crashes out with the rest of the Snarker 2.0 squad that are currently being built now under Darius's wing. Okay, looking forward to that. There was that whole arc where there was this site, there was a subreddit called Friend World, which drew like cute anti-Semitic comics, but like if you didn't know the racial lore, you didn't actually know that they were anti-Semitic. They all just kind of seemed like cute cartoon characters, but all of them were like different dog whistles for anti-Semitic or racist tropes or whatever. And I remember there was a whole like series of streams, and back then it was a big deal because I think Emia was like kind of in the Twitch space, like people knew about her and stuff. And obviously Hasan was starting to grow, and he was using my stream and platform and then adjacent spaces to advertise this, that Emia was a card-carrying Nazi because she was posting like Friend World comics on Twitter. And it was like, not like a meme. He went like hard. This is a hard argument. And I remember that I had to dig into this, and I think a good chunk of my fan base, I think, even disagreed with me. I don't know if the subreddit posts are still up. But then that's because I also had a lot more commies in my fucking audience than I realized. I didn't realize it until later. Oh, is this? The Emia girl is a literal Nazi. So for those of you who tuned... this is on my subreddit. Holy shit. I wonder where the... So for those of you who tuned into Hasan's stream a few moments earlier, you probably saw the Emia girl putting up some fake tears and crying because she was exposed as a Nazi. And Hasan was misled due to not knowing who she is, believing it was all a misunderstanding. She essentially feigned ignorance about not knowing what Friend World is. But let's take a look at the history of what she has done. Here's her saying the N-word like 20 times and doing blackface. She downplayed it by saying that she used to be a tad edgy in the past. Tad bit. I don't know how to search. I think she had like a face mask, whatever girls put this shit on or whatever. I don't know if she used to say the N-word or not, but it was a long time ago on the internet, okay? Dresses up as a clown on stream and does all the honking stuff really recently. So I think the clown thing, was at some point was like a neo-Nazi, like anti-Semitic dog whistle. I don't even remember how, but somehow it was, because maybe the friend guy or something. Makes posts on Friend World. You don't accidentally post on Friend World multiple times. Anyone who thinks that is literally retarded. Claims she didn't know the Friend World sub existed until a few days ago. Liar. Her ex-boyfriend apparently worked for a terrorist named Milo Yiannopoulos, a terrorist. Previously went under the name Emma Adorable and was obsessed with Keemstar and Leafy. Quite the selection of cancerous people to be obsessed over. Now, both of them are, again, it was the older internet, not great, but also these guys were not neo-Nazis ever. Keemstar? Leafy? No. But yeah, this was a whole ordeal. That's a pretty pathetic lie. She's just hoping that people forget the different names she used throughout her rebranding. The identification for people being neo-Nazis was like so strict back then. And then it's just funny now that like we're on some wild shit.
To be like, okay, this is the kind of, we're reaching the threshold and of wait, why are you laughing?
Milo was a terrorist. Am I missing out on lore? That guy was crazy, but no, he was never a terrorist. He was a right-wing provocateur. Who was a piece of shit.
Okay, because it's ridiculous. I do find it truly ridiculous.
Nabi, do you find it ridiculous?
Wait, I wanted to hear what you had to say.
Yeah, so like, so for example, people use the R word, right? The R slur, right? Now,
Sure.
you know, would you say anyone who used that slur is ableist?
Why is your screen
No,
not
but
sharing?
if someone used, let's
What?
Your screen's not sharing.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, it stopped. Hold on. What'd you do? Bitch.
say if someone only used the term retard, I'm just going to say it. I don't give a shit.
Whoa!
And they only
I
said it
prefer
in
you
the context
didn't.
of like, look at these retarded children. Then yes, that would be ableist.
Okay, but what? So let's say that he
prefer you didn't.
applied it to more than just
God.
people who are actually mentally handicapped.
It
Probably
would
raises your
depend on like, the
credence.
degree that he like, applies
it raises it, but like I don't think that you're gonna like go on a limb and be like absolutely
but
ableist.
if it was like, let's say if it was like 99%, 1%, would
Yeah,
that instantly make it so that you don't consider it to be like ableist?
No, I would grant that would be anti-Semitic to do, yes. But there's
Okay,
like a
so,
threshold
like,
of before you call.
what-
So you know this, right? Because someone in their day-to-day life, right? Everyone's a little bit racist. Agreed, North?
Oh my god.
Sure.
Yeah, but like before you're gonna call someone a racist, there's like some threshold. We don't know like exactly what that would be before you're willing to do that, right? You're not gonna say that because we have a little abuelita who doesn't want to get into taxi
Okay,
with.
let's say there's like, okay, so like, okay, so we agree that there is such a thing as like a threshold, right?
I don't know what his example was going to be there. If there's an older person who doesn't want to get into a cab with a minority or something, I think we would call that person racist. Yeah, I mean, like, it might not be the worst thing in the world that old people are racist, but we would still call them racist. I'm really curious where he was going with that.
Yeah, Avi and I talked about it the other day.
Some sort of percentage.
I would call it like.
Okay, so some sort
I
of.
would call him like he is somewhat anti-Semitic. Yes, for the usage of that term.
No. Let's take a. We agree that there is such a thing as like a threshold, right?
For which?
Yeah,
for
Avi and I
the-
talked about it
for
the
the
other
pig
day.
dog term, or
Yeah, I would call it like.
Okay, so some sort
I
of.
would call him like he is somewhat anti-Semitic.
or
Yes,
somewhere
for the
else.
usage of that term.
Did I miss?
No. Let's take a. Let's say if it was like 80%, 20% usage against Jews versus like not against Jews.
So I would say his knowing usage of an anti-Semitic slur would make him at least minimally anti-Semitic on some level. Whether I call him an anti-Semite, which carries a much heavier connotation, right? That there's a more kind of like elaborate set of biases, or at least a stronger bias, I would say.
Dude, no, like in a very academic online sense, sure, I would grant this, but like realistically, I'm not sure how much people are seeing the difference between like, oh, that guy, he engages in a lot of racist behavior. Most people, and when I say most people, like in the world, like 99% of people will just hear you saying like, oh, that guy's racist. Like nobody is going to make this distinction of like, oh, he engages in racist behavior. That's it.
Sure, but this is the retarded world that Pisco lives in, where like he tries to super nail in fucking words and shit.
Sure, but I don't think most people would view it that way. But
Say, then that to me is unclear, and I don't really know. I have to think about that more about what those thresholds are. You're scoffing, but you yourself would understand that, right? And you would also do that, correct,
when
North?
people scoff.
We're
You
asking
yourself
if-
would also do that, right? You would also have thresholds about whether you're willing to call someone racist if they use a slur one time, right?
But it depends
Yes
on
or
doesn't
no?
do
Okay,
that.
if you don't
It's
answer, so
not
if you don't
analogous.
answer, this
The answer is
conversation's over.
yes, but it's not analogous.
Okay, so why are you scoffing when I say that?
Okay, also as a general piece of debate advice, where is North?
Easier.
Wait, hold on.
Okay. What the fuck am I holding on for?
No, I'm here. Sorry, I'm trying to find Hasan clips. What's going on?
Jesus. You're obsessed, kid.
Yeah, the grind never ends.
No, I'm just kidding.
I am.
Okay, sometimes I get the feeling, okay, and I don't know how many arguments you guys have on your own time about this stuff, but sometimes it feels like you're worried to like say yes to something because you think you're getting like that somebody's going to head you off. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, as long as you're confident in your argument, and especially in the heat of the moment, I understand it can be more challenging or whatever, but as long as you're confident in your argument, you should always like just like say yes and then move to the next stage if you can, because sometimes it feels like there are things that I think you probably agree with, but I think you're mentally trying to head off like where you think Pisco's going, and then it makes you not agree to things you probably could agree on and then move to the next stage. Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean. There's this old debate video, not debate video. I don't know what you call it. You ever hear of this channel called I think it's called Counter Arguments or
Good one.
Counterpoints?
Oh, I've heard of this one.
Like
Yeah. They do Warhammer 40k stuff. Yeah.
No. Different one. I don't even know the channel's even up anymore. They had like a whole lot of things describing.
Wait, was this supposed to be a Connor reference, or were you being serious?
No, this is a legitimate thing.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Connor. Never mind.
This channel, it was literally called like Counterpoint.
Oh, I think I might have seen this.
Like, talked about like debate things.
Counter
yeah,
arguments,
like,
yeah, sure.
Like Jordan Lee, counter arguments, yeah. And then it's like the biggest video on there was like the Jordan Lee Peterson interview with that one weird
Kathy
British
Newman
lady.
or something. Was that her name?
Yeah, if you remember that, and she was trying to get him with like the whole gotcha thing. Like, I think that's just been perpetually in like the back of my mind for my entire life. Whenever I'm thinking of like accepting someone's premise or not in a debate, I just need to train myself out of doing that. So,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I get what you mean.
All right. Love you. Be careful.
These thresholds exist if you yourself have them.
Why? Because I just said why. Because it's not analogous. Because the top hiker isn't using it just once, and he's not.
All I'm saying is there are some thresholds,
And you're
scoffing
pressing
at
me
that.
for. I am scoffing at that.
Why?
Yes.
I didn't tell you what that
As I
threshold
said,
was.
He's not using it just once.
I didn't tell you what the threshold
it is
was.
A consistent pattern of behavior.
I didn't tell you what that threshold was, and you're saying you're scoffing. That's rude
I
and
was trying
stupid
to
to
get
scoff,
the threshold,
right?
and when I
Not
asked,
with him. Sorry, I'm done. I can't deal with him anymore.
Jesus.
Bro, it's like
well,
it's nuts.
he did. Hey, listen, he didn't call you anti-Semitic. There's that.
There's that, yeah. I mean, shit's fucking crazy, bro.
I just don't know why.
Anyway, what did you think of the
on everybody's fucking stream to talk about whether when you called him an anti-Semite, why won't he just talk to you?
Yeah,
Like,
but I
we're
feel
really
like
gonna
this
hash
has
it
been a thing for a long time. Like this happened with the liberal learn people too. I noticed it. I thought more about it reactively after the whole fucking. I guess I'm personally insulting all of them. I guess that there's always been this trend of like I'll start some discourse, but it's never like my name is basically never brought up ever. It'll just be like, oh, there are some people talking about this thing now, and let's talk about this thing. And then sometimes I'll bring on
Voldemort.
Yeah, then sometimes I'll bring on like other people to debate it, but yeah, never me. And like as an intentional avoidance of referencing my name ever. And I don't know. One thing, if I wanted to be super obsessed, and I'm not trying to like, I am not trying to get like undue hate towards people, even if they annoy the fuck out of me right now. But like, this is my paranoid mind working. Okay, you understand that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just being paranoid. I wonder now if I were to go back every single time Josiah was linking stuff in chat for me to go watch, I wonder what percentage of the time was when I was looking at anti-left stuff versus anti-Trump stuff. Like, I wonder if he was ever here trying to like hook me back to just doing anti-Trump stuff, because I know there were times where I was covering anti-left stuff, and he would come in and like hook a link a thing or whatever, and I would joke about like, oh, I'm looking at a Hasan there right now. I kind of wonder, you know, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't looked at anti-Trump stuff in a bit though, so it'd kind of be hard to go and check it out. It'd be hard to draw a causational.
Well, and no, it wouldn't. I would just correlate it and say that's good enough. Easy. What do you mean? I would say, look, it happened 80% of the time. That's enough for me.
Yeah, shrimpalaz.
Shrimpalaz.
The Josh Shapiro thing, yeah, I that is bullshit.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so the problem here. So okay, just with the Josh Shapiro thing, first thing, and I don't know how many times like this needs to be said because it's been said a million times. Yeah, he bears some blame for this. Okay, that's there. That's out there. He bears some blame for this. He embellished his CV.
Yeah.
Okay, he did that. Yes.
But persisting and claiming it is false.
Yes. Chat. Josiah's sweeping for Keith was the most retarded thing I've ever seen. Especially his tweet about like, oh well, he said he didn't read it.
That was yeah. I guess that's always my
smarter.
Yeah, my issue is always when I look at these people and I try to think of like, you know, what convinces me that somebody's being bad faith or good faith or whatever the fuck. It's when I look at the difference in treatment sometimes where it's like there's so much charity given to one side, but then if I say or do a thing, it's like, you know, the battle axes are out and sharpened immediately. And it's like I feel like there's a difference here in how where the charity is being applied, which makes me wonder, you know.
That we're still claiming this is still insane.
Yeah,
like the fact, like this has been debunked for God knows how long now. This has been like.
What's been debunked? Fuck, I missed the start.
So it's not true. I don't. By the way, this is not something you even can do. Like, if you're volunteering for the IDF, you're volunteering to enlist.
Right.
Like,
In
they
the
will
army.
let you volunteer to enlist in the fucking army. Like,
Yeah.
they're not going to let you. You are not under the IDF if you're volunteering for 2 months or a month or whatever to go in and clean some dishes. And one of the buildings that you were cleaning dishes in was a barracks. Like, that is not a thing you could do in the IDF.
But here's the problem, Avi, as well, though, and I agree, it's false and it's like bullshit to keep claiming it. Why can't he just say he won't come out and say he embellished either?
Yeah, no, he's gonna. I think he's. So to answer your question, he can come out and say he embellished, and that's the right thing to do. I don't think he's going to do that. And if you're going to ask why, to speculate on why he's not doing that, it's probably for a similar reason that a whole bunch of other politicians are also not coming forward with all their little embellishments.
True. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's why it doesn't seem like there's enough pressure that he needs to do that. It doesn't seem like that. If he did that,
I don't give a fuck about it, to be honest.
Yeah, so if he did that, he probably would just, in his analysis, I suspect he'd probably just see, oh, this will probably just hurt me more than it would help me. Then people are just going to all say like, oh, you're a fraud, and so why am I doing? No one
He would
seems
not
to really
get
care
any
about
charity.
it.
It wouldn't help him, and it's not a big deal.
Exactly. Right. So it's the same standard political analysis that any other politician would take for why he's not, saying, hey, I was a fraud back when I was 20. Like,
but that's the right thing to do in your mind.
Yeah, no, it would be the right thing to do. It'd be like, hey, I need to be honest about the way I do. Sure. Okay, so yeah, but then like this needs to be like completely. So yeah, he has some blame for it, but fuck, like it's complete bullshit. I don't know why. The fact that it's still like pervasive, and then it's like oh, but even that, like at one point I think I heard like, oh, but even that, like he's like, he's like presenting himself as like a member of the IOF. Like, bro, this was when he was 20.
Yeah, this was
this was before,
like a college thing.
Before any of this shit. Yeah, this was when he was like. This was like a college extracurricular that I'm sure like every other fucking kid was put through.
Yeah.
Wait, who are they talking about? I missed the beginning of this tangent for whatever Avi was explaining. Oh, Josh Shapiro. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and I don't hold it against him. I think it's stupid. I also thought that the murder cover-up thing is so fucking stupid. If you look into the details there, first of all, he became AG like years after this murder. The murder occurred, or sorry, it's not a murder. The death of this woman occurred in 2011, and I think he becomes AG in 2019. It's around there, and so even just assuming like his office doesn't have access to this case, or at least under his leadership, until 8 years after the killing occurs, and it's just not a murder. Read all the fucking evidence. There's been a report released in last year where.
Okay. What'd you guys cover today on stream?
Today was Slop Sunday, so just normal news and slop. I was gonna watch some of this, but then I just was like, oh, it's all so retarded. I offered to moderate between you and Pisco.
You have a lot of
get you guys to have like a conversation, and he denied it. But he keeps going on other people's streams to talk about it, so...
Damn. Oh, that was a
really retarded.
Big mistake. Also, you shouldn't have done that, because now I bet he thought, or people probably told him that I told you to do that.
No, you didn't.
Well, yeah, but that's probably going to be the assumption made, but...
I guess. I mean, he can have somebody else moderate it. It doesn't really matter.
True.
But he won't.
Before you move on to the next video, I linked 2 videos in side chat that are relevant to the end of that discussion about whether Hasan is like aware that pig dog is a slur or not, and then I'm gonna head out.
Oh, well, I mean, I believe you. Because it was brought up on one time on a stream and then one time on PodSave is what it looks like?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe you. We all believe you here.
All right, sweet.
Be careful, I love you.
Smile.
Did you just say smile?
I think so.